get a beautiful view of 18 and of 1 up here in the clubhouse in our beautiful location here at the Zone Spring Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters today at Greystone Golf Club. We will continue to set the scene here on the beautiful scenery around us, the blue skies, the sun that is up, because there are still tee times available in the afternoon flight. So 1 o'clock is going to come, and you might be thinking to yourself, you're going to play the challenge of how little work can I do on a Friday? And if that answer is 0, then come on down and book a tee time, grab 2 of your buddies, and one of you can play 2 shots on every shot, which I did last year, and I also recommend. It's kind of fun because the second shot will make a lot of folks join the PGA Tour, even though your first shots might suck.
Yeah, hey, gives you hope for the future. By the way, I don't know if you guys watch the Memorial Tournament that up in Columbus right now. But speaking of golf, it reminds me, because this time, when I was covering sports up there, I would cover the Memorial Tournament, Jack Nicklaus's tournament. And so this is like bringing back memories, even though it's nowhere close to, actually covering the event. But I just feel like I feel like that sense of calmness out here, just looking at the course.
If you're going to see any PGA Tour shots on this.
No, probably not. But, I feel like I'm up there, even though I'm not. I'm like, yeah, at least I'm out here by the golf course, right?
In their minds, Kayla, there will be PGA stars today. That's
exactly.
What they will be. That's 100% it.
Yeah.
Yes, man. NBA games last night, guys. Awesome.
You mean
Celtics 1-0 lead.
Game. It
wasn't much of a game, but
it was not.
No.
Basketball was played. Sports happened again last night, besides just Major League Baseball.
Man, Porzingis, though, was birthdayed in his update. Some people say, all right, we going to wreck shop today. That's what he did. It was absolutely, it was beautiful for a guy. It was beautiful for a guy who'd been on the sideline a good bit of these playoffs. It was fun, exciting, but it was also boring because they blew him out the entire time. So
now I'm wondering, is this going to be like this series, because it is an interesting matchup,
between the two,
you think Celtics get a little bit of an upper hand on that. Then you think ahead, it's like, okay, well, maybe they could steal a game or so, right, and make it a series. But I don't know. I mean, the Celtics are dominant.
They were last night, but Dallas got a good enough team, though. Dallas did the same thing to Minnesota, in a sense. Just waited them out, and then they swarmed them in the end, man. So I'll never discount them, but we'll see what it'll look like last night. Last night was somewhat entertaining.
Interesting, too, considering how long Kristaps Porzingis has been out and his return from injury. I think a lot of the speculation was that maybe Game 1 would look different from the rest of the series, considering what Boston got out of Kristaps Porzingis, and he was NBA Jam on fire. He was throwing it in the Atlantic Ocean. He was having a Boston Tea Party and throwing it in the harbor.
He was
throughout the night. Dude could not miss.
He could not miss, man. But fascinating. If you don't watch it, this is when you watch it right now, because these two dudes, Jaylen Brown and Tatum, they got to win it. But also, you look at Luka Doncic. He's also in that same boat. This is young stars right now trying to take the torch. So, solid. I was just shocked at watching Porzingis. Can you imagine? You know how you see people, and I'm sure you guys have seen them in you guys' field, right? You're just like, how are you this way? Like, Porzingis is 7 foot, and he's out here just shooting right into the rim. That's
how I feel when I go YouTube Ramon Foster highlights for 11 years of the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I was listening to Slay and them talk about you yesterday in terms of turning on the meanness, because J.C. Latham obviously can switch over that switch when it comes to finding the dog in him. So I thought it was funny, too. They brought up your name is also one of those guys who can switch it on when it needs to be switched on in terms of that dog mentality.
I had to learn. I
Really?
legitimately had to learn how to do that. That's why I tell, y'all have heard me talk to young athletes before. Like, you gotta strain. You gotta strain to be, to accomplish your goals. And that was my thing. I was doing it because I was big and it was people smaller than me and stuff like that. So I was just, all right, I'll go dominate these guys, until I realized there was another step to be taken. So when I found that out, and I had to figure it out, I always had a competitive edge. But I was like, okay, now it's time to go step on people's necks.
That's Big J journalist J.C. Latham.
Yes, it is.
He was asking a question to Brian Callahan yesterday in his press conference.
I got about 10 more years in this job, and he's going to be in this spot. That's all I'm saying. He's good.
He's phenomenal. And just listening to him at the podium, I turned to Samari after his interview yesterday at the podium. I said, I could talk to this guy for 6 hours.
Yeah, you can.
He's incredible.
He's got a smooth delivery about himself and everything. Just he shows confidence, and he's going to need that in his rookie year. But that switch, though, that's a good thing to have, especially this early in his career as a rookie.
615-737-1045. How you jump in throughout the morning, streaming live on 1045 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch.
Twitch, please.
You can take your time with that one, considering Bert is
taking
outside.
And he's getting
helping Kirby Allen Kirby, and he is waving hello to us. So good morning to Bert. No, that's all right. We don't. Don't throw my man under the bus like that at 6:10 in the morning.
I appreciate him doing that. That's how we all feel at times.
A special thanks to our food sponsors this morning. We have got Whataburger Breakfast, which will be here at 7 o'clock this morning. And I'm very excited about that because I don't know if you guys have had Whataburger Breakfast before.
Not the breakfast.
But the honey butter chicken biscuits at Whataburger Breakfast. It is a thing that at Whataburgers around the country, they are open 24 hours. And their breakfast, though, starts at like midnight at a lot of places. So for certain colleges that have access to Whataburgers, that is the spot for a breakfast meal after a night out at certain universities. Not my university, but other universities.
You've yet to lead me astray. So
very good.
I'm going to trust you on this.
I'm excited.
Very, very, very good. Brent Hubbs at 7:20 this morning, our weekly visit with our VolQuest insider who will take us inside the VolQuest War Room. He's got notes in the War Room this morning about some Tennessee recruiting targets who are on campus. Of course, lots of conversation about Tennessee and Evansville. Game 1 at 2 o'clock Central Time this afternoon, as the Vols look to get back to Omaha for the second consecutive season. Randy Mueller, former NFL general manager, at 9:20 this morning. He's got a lot of thoughts on NFL headlines, including potential changes to the NFL offseason calendar coming up from the GM's perspective. We'll talk Titans and hit the headlines around the AFC South with him as well. 615-737-1045 as we broadcast live from Greystone Golf Club. And coming up, the offense bounced back yesterday, and we give you a full Titans Thursday minicamp report coming up.
It's Ramon for Wesley Mortgage. Give me the website right now, whywesley.com. I'm here to tell you that the owner, Chuck McDowell, he's a local Nashville native, and he cares about this community, and he's always proud to serve it, all right? Chuck, he reinvests in the people and the places that make Nashville such a wonderful place. So while other mortgage companies are downsizing, Chuck McDowell and the Wesley Mortgage team, they are rapidly expanding in Nashville, keeping people working in the career that they love, and they love to have you join their team. Chuck and the leadership team at Wesley Mortgage have a support system in place to help you succeed in the mortgage business, ensuring your loans close on time, making sure you get paid, and giving you back the time to build your business and bring back the fun to the mortgage profession. With unique networking opportunities with the Tennessee Titans and the Music City Grand Prix, they make closing deals and building relationships fun again. So if you're in the mortgage industry and you're tired of the grind, tired of the pressure, and just tired of micromanaging everything to make sure your clients get handled correctly, then you owe it to yourself to go to whywesley.com.
Live from the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. It is Ramon, Kayla, and Will. 615-737-1045. Special thanks to Two Rivers Ford, RTM Roofing, all of our great sponsors making this great day happen. The weather is immaculate.
Immaculate.
It is. Yes, it
Just
is.
like the vibes in the Titans room.
1 p.m. tee times are available. I'm told there are just a couple of them remaining. So we're going to keep talking about the vibes, and by the end of it, at least 4 of you are going to say, you know what? I'm not going to be productive today. I'm going to go out to Greystone, and I'm going to play some golf.
Go ahead and get ahead.
Meet my favorite radio hosts as well.
Exactly.
We are told Ron Slay may be in the building this morning as well.
And if you know him being in the building this early in the morning on the golf course, the vibes will be amazing.
That's right.
Okay. Yes.
Is
yes,
he
indeed.
playing with Brent?
Playing
or whatever
with
you want to call it.
Brent.
Yeah,
Playing is a very
Playing
relative
is
term.
probably too big of a term to use.
Doing things with Brent is probably a better way to phrase
Hype
that.
man for Brent. Yeah.
Brent ain't even the main character in this thing, okay?
No.
It's simply just everybody's out here on the golf course is what we'll call it.
It's a party early.
Early party is what we call it.
Yesterday, the offense better at Titans Thursday minicamp. Brian Callahan saying after practice, they worked for about the last half hour on choreographed situations and specific points of the game. May come up once a year, twice a year, or once every 5 years, and says they are at the tail end of installs on both sides of the ball. Will Levis, according to Jim Wyatt, 7 of 10 in his 2 7-on-7 periods, including 4 of 5 in his final session. Kayla, what did you see out there?
I saw exactly that. The situational stuff, I will say, is not the most fun for us to watch as media because, again, it's situational. It's not like it's crazy action or you can tell a lot from that. But for them, it is important. And you heard Brian Callahan kind of talk about that specifically. But for the 7-on-7 work that we did see before that, I do agree. I think you knew right away there was a little bit more of a okay, let's bounce back from this offense. And specifically with Will Levis, and you just gave the numbers right there, Will, I thought he looked a lot more comfortable. You saw some good connections. I even saw a couple connections with Chigakonkwo, so going to some different guys in that. So, yeah, I think overall that's what we wanted to see. Yesterday we said it on the show, what do you want to see today? And one of those things was we just want to see the offense be able to bounce back. Will Levis be able to maybe, regroup from yesterday's or the day before's defensive dominance. And that's what I think you saw. I know it was a short period of time, but with Callahan confirming that, I think that was a good sign.
I think that's one of the things that we, as people who cover this team, fans of this team, wanted to see in general too. Going into games, knowing that you could put up points, and hearing that the offense bounced back yesterday is something I think is encouraging. It's still early, of course. There are no pads and there was no full defense out there, but the ability to actually show a better performance, I think, is what's necessary for a young guy like Will Levis. Because again, some days you're going to get dominated just in the games, and that next week it can either go downhill even further, or you've been in a position to say, it was just a one-off, or we have the abilities to play ball. Scoring points for this offense, I think, is one of the most crucial things that can happen that's going to give this fan base a lot of confidence in this new coaching staff, all this change, all this kumbaya that we're having right now to show and prove that, look, this system can work here. I think the personality of this team has been bend but don't break. And you want to be in a position as a squad, and also having a new young quarterback. You don't have Ryan Tannehill, who was a veteran from somewhere else.
Yeah.
This is Will Levis' squad as we know it right now, who's being coached by this new regime and this new staff with a new flow to the offense. So to know that they are capable of what you just said a second ago, bouncing back, especially at the quarterback position, I think is what we're going to have to see in the fall too.
Not spotted on the field yesterday, Nicholas Petit-Frere, Tavondre Sweat, and Colton Dowell, as Jim Wyatt writes at TennesseeTitans.com. Of course, the Titans wrap up OTAs next week with 4 dates scheduled and 6 already in the books. That last week of OTAs can often be hey, everyone, thanks for being here. Have a great rest of the summer, and we'll see you in late July.
Yeah, usually do a team-building event. I
Yeah.
don't think they've had that yet, if I'm not mistaken.
No.
Yep. And interesting to see, again, what a first-year head coach does with that, because oftentimes veteran coaches who have been around for 2, 3, 4 years at a place, It's just to kind of wave to everyone and make sure they still exist in one piece, and then they cancel the last day or two, essentially. But Brian Callahan did say yesterday, I've always hated going against Baltimore's red zone defense. He says he doesn't see any real separation between the offense and the defense at this point. You guys buying that?
It should be the way. If that is the case, the offense in itself, man, they're ahead of schedule is what I would say. If he's making a statement like that, and I think he's probably, giving not the whole truth in a situation like that. But if the offense is keeping pace with the defense, because I've always said the defense usually jumps out early and the offense has to catch up. If the offense is through his eyes at the same pace as the defense, then that's a good thing. Again, we'll see what happens when the pads get on and Will Levis gets frustrated or his receivers get frustrated because it's a little bit physical out there or plays get disrupted. That's just what's going to happen. That's what throws you off from your progression is been in a situation where the defensive line is pushing the offense back and you can't really operate the way you want to. This time of the year, I kind of expect that to be the answer. I would expect that to be the answer, where there's some give and take throughout the course of the practice.
Yeah, and you said it. I mean, the real work and the real, when we can say, hey, the defense is ahead of the offense is enduring training camp.
When we start to worry.
That's when you start to be like, okay. But I will say this, and maybe that incorporates some of, what the offense is doing off the field too. Like, hey, the installation is almost fully done in this situation. That's according to Brian Callahan. Maybe he's also referring to the fact that, we feel comfortable with how we've kind of digested the installation so far offensively. And then, you've seen the defense out there be able to do some things in terms of minicamp the last couple of days, show kind of where they're coming in terms of progress. So yeah, I do actually buy that.
So I've always wondered in these types of situations, maybe because everything is so new and nobody wants to step on any toes though, but like these training camp practices, like the coaches staff, offense meet, defense meet separately. Then they come together as a staff, and then they plan out meetings. I wonder, do they set it up to where, all right, today we're going to take a L, or sometimes you just happen to know that we're going to get beat today. Like those are the things that do happen in camp to where I'm sure 2 days ago on Wednesday, Denard Wilson said, well, let me show you what we're really capable of.
Right.
I just wonder how those meetings go to say, all right, you guys call it as you see it and not scripted. And that's one of those things I'm wondering how this staff continuously to evolve. What days, to your point, Kayla, in camp will be banked as defensive W's or offensive W's? That is going to be very fascinating with such a new staff. Like we got 2 coordinators now that hadn't been in these roles really before. They have, but not really on their own team in a city that is very brand new to them.
This was Brian Callahan talking about the 7-on-7 period specifically yesterday.
7-on-7 to me has always been a bit of an experimental period for quarterbacks. It's, there's no consequence, and sometimes you use those reps to find out what you can get away with. I encourage those quarterbacks to maybe not necessarily check the ball down every time in 7-on-7. Test your throws. Test the throw into a tight coverage, test it into a tight window, and then we can coach off the decision making. But sometimes there is a place for a little bit of experimentation and trying to see what you can and can't get away with in a live motion period. So yeah, they're allowed to have some freedom to try some throws, and we coach off of it. And you can say, look, we know that you'd probably get to the back here in a real game, or you check the ball down here, but we don't mind an aggressive approach sometimes in 7-on-7.
Ramon, is that Brian Callahan trying to give Will Levis a little bit of grace and trying to calm down people that may see a stat line or may see an interception and help them not overreact? Or is that just something that you think is totally legit, 100% genuine, that 7-on-7 allows quarterbacks to try things they wouldn't normally do?
It's totally legit. To me, it is, because that's what practice is all about, is to allow guys to figure out what they are capable of and not, and that's what you have to know. I've played with young quarterbacks before, and I've said this on 3HL yesterday. I played with young quarterbacks before to where they play by the book in practice. They don't want to tick the coach off. They want to make sure the reps are good and nothing is off script. And next thing you know, they get in the games or those preseason games, and they're just a different human being. Mm-hmm. They are a different player. And, you know, I always go, wow. Like, those are the reactions you have when you see guys do some of the things they do that they've never done in practice. Like, why are you throwing on the run across your body? You never did this in practice. I'll give you a real example. Last year in training camp, everybody was focused in on Malik Willis staying in the pocket. Mm-hmm. Stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket, stay in the pocket. And then he got to those preseason games, and he'd run out of the pocket again. Practice is where you get comfortable doing those types of things. That's where you have to train yourself in those moments, which is allowing Will Levis to do to make those risky throws. If you want to see and test what your arm strength is, how good of a quarterback you are, you do it in practice. Therefore, we can correct that. Mm-hmm. We can just simply say the same way he allows his players to say, hey, coach, I don't like that. Coach Brian Callahan's been wide open on saying those types of things. Well, what he's saying is he's giving guys the freedom to make mistakes, to be in a position to where they're figuring themselves out as pros. I used to do that too. Savage asked me yesterday, you know, as far as like being a puncher and an absorber of a blocker. I tried to punch because I saw others do it. Like, I would cassette and punch people in my pass set, and I was bad at it. Mm-hmm. And I was just like, well, this isn't for me. So in the games, I carried that over to where I would wait on guys and then react to them with having a quick reaction to whatever they did. But I learned that in practice. That's what practice is all about. But I think it also says a little bit more, too. I feel like I'm going on forever here.
No, it's great.
But I think it also says more also, too, to the fact that we're going to allow you to make mistakes. Some coaches do want perfect practices. Yeah. Some coaches want to see, all right, this is what it looks like. No, mistakes are supposed to be made. One of the things we heard out of Knoxville, though, Will, and I know you're going to know this, is one of the reasons Josh Dobbs got knocked was he did not have perfect practices.
He's a gamer.
He was a gamer.
We were not seeing it in practice.
And some coaches, they can't sleep at night knowing that you went 7 for 8 and 7 on 7, and they can sleep, all right, we're going to win the game. That doesn't mean you're going to win the game.
And that's difficult, too, when you're talking about 18-year-olds versus a 25-year-old also.
It is. But some coaches, is my point, is
totally
Coach
agree.
Callahan is, go figure this out before we get to the real stuff, before we get to training camp and before we get to real games where you can get hurt. Figure out what your substance of play is, and we can build from there. All right, Mason Rudolph was one of those guys. Earlier in his career, he would run out of the pocket quick, and then Earl Thomas caught him, and knocked him out. So if you see Mason now, he sits in the pocket, delivers, and navigates it as according, like moving forward, not side to side. That's what you're asking Will Levis to do. Figure out what you want to do and how we're going to build around you with the things that you're good with.
And that's why I think I go back to my statement, a few weeks ago of why I just feel like this is such a great situation for Will Levis. I don't know if he could have been put in a better situation just because of Brian Callahan. He has such a specific way of, now we're seeing it before our eyes, developing, and specifically quarterbacks. And I know, he hasn't been an offensive coordinator before, but he's worked so closely with quarterbacks and of all different types. And he just seems to get it. He can figure out these different personalities, these different, styles of play. Yeah. And so what I enjoy is now we're seeing it before our eyes. We're going to see more in training camp. Oh, these are the types of things he does with quarterbacks, why they're maybe able to find success. Yeah. And there is time to do this. We saw it when Joe Burrow went down. We saw it with Jake Browning in a really quick amount of time. To be quite frank, and that was during the season. I'm excited to see the build of Will Levis and how these things continue to happen. 7-on-7s, we're going to let him experiment a little bit more, like you just said. Okay, now he's going to be able maybe to give us some feedback in what he likes to do and what he doesn't like to do. It's almost like they're stacking the building points of Will Levis right now. We're seeing it before our eyes, and there's going to be mistakes, but that's what you want because Will Levis is smart enough to be able to learn from that.
Now, to cover that real quick now, quarterbacks can just simply be trashed, too.
And they can, yeah.
I'll go to the Tim Tebow Denver experiment where his teammates was like, where are you throwing the ball at?
Well, speaking of, there was conversation about Malik Willis and Mason Rudolph yesterday. Brian Callahan says there is a battle that will go into training camp for backup quarterback.
I always wonder about that. You can give your opinion in a minute, but
smile.
There's not a ballot
yeah,
for backup quarterback. There's not. He has
I'm
to
just
say
like,
that.
I don't know.
Brian Callahan has got to encourage Malik Willis. You want to get the most out of him you possibly can. He said they're going to split reps. You don't bring Mason Rudolph here to be the third quarterback. Mason Rudolph was brought here to be Will Levis's backup quarterback, to learn the same offense as Will Levis. That way, when you have a backup that needs to go in, you don't have to totally change the playbook for that guy, and you can run the same system. And the Titans cannot do that with Malik Willis.
What I will say with Malik Willis is take advantage of this time to develop in your own way, whatever that might be. Whatever improvements you want to make with yourself as a quarterback, you're in a good position, again, to take advantage of a new staff, of maybe a new style of teaching. And then what happens after training camp, whether that be he's on the practice squad and somebody picks him up or he stays on the practice squad, I think if anything, for Malik, and I know that's his mentality, like he'll do his best to improve on what he needs to improve on, but he's not, in my eyes, going to be the backup here.
Nah, and that's commendable, Coach Callahan, to just say, all right, we're going to, as far as the public goes, you are as equal as Mason Rudolph is. But again, it comes down to results. Mason went 4 for 5 yesterday, and Malik went 1 for 5 in the same drill. That right there tells a story of his career has been, and just the shot that he's going to be given. To your point, Kayla, to be able to go out and prove it. It's whatever his career is going to turn into, he has to just grab it by the horns and just walk with it. But as far as what this offense, I think, is going to ask of the backup quarterback, I think Mason Rudolph fits that mold probably a little bit more than what a Malik Willis will, unless they're willing to just allow him to be him. And that means changing the playbook for a guy, and you can't really do that too much or too big in the NFL. So kudos to Coach Callahan for accepting that and giving that message to at least us in the media.
I don't say it to be disrespectful, but to be totally honest to where Malik Willis is, I think he's closer to being a UFL quarterback next year than he is to being a backup quarterback somewhere.
I don't think that's necessarily disrespectful.
It's the reality of his situation. Like, the guy's got to play. The guy has to learn how to be a professional, pro-style quarterback. I could see him going the A.J. McCarron route next year.
Which is not a bad thing. You get to play. Could be a starter, right?
You get to play. He has to go to a city that's going to cater to his skill set. And, again, his biggest issue was he was brought in to be developed. And right now you got a staff, in my opinion, that I think wants to win, and they're going to put out the best possible candidate that's going to help them win in situations like that. And that's probably Will Levis 1 and Mason Rudolph 2.
Line for the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic this morning. Special thanks to Mark Spain Real Estate, King and Associates, our food sponsors, Whataburger, bringing in the breakfast that'll be rolling in here within the next half hour or so. Milagro Tequila, our prize sponsors, including Nashville SC, the Atlanta Braves, the Tennessee Titans. We appreciate all of you making this great day possible. Tee time still available for 1 p.m. in the afternoon here from Greystone and beautiful Dixon. The sun is up. The weather is fantastic. And we're going to have a fun day here with all of our shows broadcasting live from Greystone Golf Club in Dixon. But coming up next, guys, one of the most awkward moments you will ever see on television happened at a golf course yesterday. And we have that audio coming up for you next. Hey, what's going on? It's Will Bowling. Do you have a ceiling light fixture that flickers? Do you need an extra outlet or two? Or, hey, do you just have wall switches that don't seem to work as well as maybe they did a couple of years ago? Well, hey, these all seem to be simple issues. However, they are rarely do-it-yourself projects. Dealing with electricity requires the expertise of an experienced professional. So you got to call the pros over at Lee Company. If you're like me, trying to deal with electricity, you're just going to end up making things worse. And Lee Company's electrical team can solve any problem you have safely and efficiently. Right now, you can enjoy $20 off an electrical service call for a limited time by calling Lee Company today at 615-567-1000 or go online to leecompany.com for an appointment. That's online at leecompany.com. Lee Company, all you need. The 104.5 The Zone 2024 Spring Golf Classic presented by Ferguson at State Water Heaters continues this morning here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. There will not be a moment on this golf course today as awkward as one that happened yesterday. So I don't know if you guys saw this on Golf Channel's coverage, I believe, of the Memorial Pro-Am. You got the pros, you've got the amateurs, you've got the celebrities, all of the things going on yesterday, beginning the weekend. And one reporter thought that she had found former Titan Vince Young. This was not Vince Young. This was Citadel football coach Everett Sands, who was caught in a very awkward situation, to say the least. Listen to this.
Vince Young playing this week. He's down with Warren.
David, 6 seasons in the NFL, arguably one of the best NCAA quarterbacks of all time at Texas. Picked up golf about 4 years ago. What's the biggest shift you make going from the ultimate team sport to now the ultimate individual sport?
Now, I apologize. You have the wrong person. Which I'm a football coach. The thing is, the great thing about golf is that I'm not only competing against myself, but I'm competing against everybody else.
This is your first pro-am ever playing, and what's the best part of being out here?
Well, being out here is a great thing, and having the opportunity to play with some professional golfers is a intimidating thing, but also a great thing.
Good luck this weekend.
Hey, I appreciate it.
Yeah.
There's no follow-up to, okay, sir, can you tell us who you are? Mr. Golfer, what's the best part of being out here today? Let us know. That is Citadel football coach Everett Sands, who was a great sport about this and could have probably taken this a lot more personally and gotten a lot more angry that they just found the one guy that looks like Vince Young, and there's probably some elements to that will go unsaid, but wow.
Do you think the studio guys set her up? Is she a rookie?
This is a local news person.
It was local.
And it was, can I say, news. This was not a sports reporter.
Oh, Lord.
So-
Was this not live TV?
I did not believe, was that on the golf?
I thought it was live coverage.
on
Yeah.
the Golf Channel.
I thought so.
That was insanely bad.
Yeah, this is on Golf Channel.
So
this is a Golf Channel reporter doing
this
a
is
walk and
one
talk
of-
with
wow.
the head coach at Citadel, thinking it's Vince Young. He's wearing Citadel stuff. There's no
That doesn't
connect.
even
He's
look
got a
like
Citadel
Vince Young.
hat. He's got a Citadel polo.
So she is actually a golf. I didn't know she was actually a Golf Channel person.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's just bad. I'm not even going to try to cover it up now.
That dude don't even look like
No,
Vince
he does
Young.
not.
It doesn't.
No, he does not.
There's
He's not
one
even
similarity between Everett Sands
They're
and Vince
black,
Young.
and that's it.
What in
They are
you go.
black,
Actual-
and that is it. Yeah. And Vince
Okay.
Young is
He is-
6'4". That dude is the same height as she is.
He is a football coach at Citadel.
You know what, though? It's just as much as the people that are back at the Golf Channel's fault to not make sure that
100%.
that was, not Vince Young. I mean, they let her just go with it, which I think is the funniest part.
There were mistakes on so many fronts
Yeah.
here. Of just that some producer is like, hey, I think Vince Young is down there. Go talk to him.
Ain't Vince 6'4", 6'3",
Yes.
6'4"?
He's a big dude.
This coach may be
6 foot.
5'10". This dude is 5'10".
6
Ain't
foot
no
at the
way.
most.
At the most, Kayla. And
So if anybody today shows up in an Under Armour hat, we're going to send
wow.
Eki down there and say, hey, Jordan Spieth is here. Can you go get a quick interview with him here on the show?
so that's crazy.
Somebody in Puma gear. Hey, Ricky Fowler's down
Right?
there. Go,
He's wearing
Go
orange.
find the guy in orange and let's go get him live on the show.
I had a similar situation though too.
Did you?
Okay.
Yeah, and Will told
Somebody
me.
think you were Anthony Munoz?
Oh no, it was me doing my small J journalist thing.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
Look at him. It cracked him. He know
boy.
exactly
Should
who.
we? I feel like we have to tell the story
We got
now.
to now.
You've unlocked the door and I'm going to open
Oh my God.
it. So,
I did the same thing.
last summer at SEC Media Days, we are getting ready. We're booking guests as we're there. Obviously, SEC Media Days was in Nashville last summer, And Ramon comes up to us and says, "Hey, I just caught up with Wes Rucker over there of 247 Sports. Obviously, Wes Rucker been covering Tennessee for a long time. You guys were at Tennessee at the same time. He was the sports editor of the Daily Beacon at Tennessee while you were students. So I was like, oh, like maybe you reconnected with Wes. You know, he's covered Tennessee for forever. So I was like, oh, get him to go on the show. Ramon's like, okay, cool. Yeah, awesome. Goes over, does Wes, in air quotes, his podcast, and then comes back. He's like, hey, he's good for 12:20 tomorrow. We get to start the show, and I'm like, Ramon, I where is he? Like, I don't say, oh, he'll be here. He said he'd be here. We had a guest on our show that day that was not Wes Rucker, that Ramon had been interacting with on this guy's podcast on our show that day. Who we thought was someone else.
I continued the lie. I did exactly as this reporter did.
Segment was great. I mean, there are a lot of great reporters at SEC Media Days and a lot of local reporters, and it could have ended up. You could have just been talking to some random white dude in the street.
Well,
and then it would have been just totally an awful segment. But it was still a good segment.
It was a great segment.
The fact that you guys couldn't tell the difference is a good thing.
And you played along with it so well. You guys played along with it so well. It's just like, well, yeah, that is him. That's what I thought he looked like. And because of that, I understand where this reporter is coming from.
It's probably 15-year age difference from Wes Rucker.
Look, it happens, guys. It happens, but not on that level. That level is that's like the level where it should not happen.
I feel bad for the reporter because this is a reporter who's clearly been put in a difficult scenario of someone told her to go talk to Vince Young, and that was not Vince Young. It also could have been her talking back to the producer like, hey, I think Vince Young is down here. So you never know. The issue is you got to follow up then and say, all right, sir, I apologize. Tell us who you are and what you're doing out here.
You can tell how young she is.
And it was just the basic, what do you want to do at the tournament?
Yeah.
And Buddy gave the best answer. Golf is such a challenging sport. And it's just like, lady, get out of my face right now.
This is so bad. I'm watching it again.
Shout out to Everett Sands.
Yeah, man. He
played it very well.
He did.
Played it very well.
Solid.
We are live here at the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. Tee times are available. They are going quick, so act while you can at 1045thezone.com. Get out here at 1 o'clock. We've got great food, Whataburger breakfast being served up, Uncle Bud's for lunch, Thai Isan, and Famous Dave's Barbecue for dinner. Special thanks to Southern Trophy House for providing awards and apparel as well. 615-737-1045. Coming up, we heard from J.C. Latham yesterday. He told us the biggest thing that he has learned so far at Titans Mandatory Minicamp from Bill Callahan, and we have that for you next. Hey, it's Will Bowling. If you're running a fast-growing business in Nashville, listen up. NetSuite's Business Grows Here event is coming to Nashville on Tuesday, June 25th. Do not miss it. Why Nashville? Well, because NetSuite knows Nashville is a hub for entrepreneurs with forward-thinking founders, a top talent pool, and pro-business leadership. Apply to attend the business event of the year. Business Grows Here, taking place at the Conrad Hotel on Tuesday, June 25th. You'll learn how Tennessee is paving the way for new business growth and capital. See how technology fueled by AI is shaping the way we grow and run our businesses. And you'll be inspired by leaders who have built and led billion-dollar businesses like Jamie Simonoff, founder of Ring Video Doorbell, and Burke Nihill, CEO of the Tennessee Titans. NetSuite by Oracle. Business Grows Here. Free to attend if you qualify. Just apply right now to find out, because seats are going quickly. Block out your calendar. Tuesday, June 25th. Apply right now at netsuite.com/Nashville. That's netsuite.com/Nashville.
So many people trust Two Rivers Ford. Football players, working moms, business owners. Why? Because Two Rivers Ford has been doing business with integrity for decades. Two Rivers Ford, the South's most trusted Ford dealer.
What's going on? 7 o'clock. Good morning from the Spring Golf Classic at Greystone, brought to you by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. We got some news from around the league in OTAs. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson was held out of the final day of Colts OTAs with shoulder soreness. Head coach Shane Steichen insisted it was a precautionary measure. In 2023, Richardson played in 4 games before being added to injured reserve with an injury to the same shoulder. The Kansas City Chiefs ended their practice early when defensive end B.J. Thompson suffered a seizure and went into cardiac arrest. We received an update late last night from Tom Pelissero via Thompson's agent. Quote, BJ is unconscious at this point, but he's stable and his vitals are looking good. And game 1 of the NBA Finals last night, Celtics win by 18 over the Mavs, 107-89. Efficient shooting night for the Celtics. Every starter scoring in the double digits, and in his first game back, Kristaps Porzingis scoring 20 points, going 8 of 13 shooting. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday morning, and we're acting like it live from the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic. We are presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters all day at Greystone Golf Club. Special thanks to Master Staff Inc., Superior Industrial Products, our prize sponsors, including the Nashville Sounds, Live Golf, and Edwin Watts Golf. We appreciate everyone who makes this great day happen for our listeners here in Dixon at Greystone Golf Club. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh here on site, Kirby Allen Kirby, and Jackson Williams helping keep the show between the navigational beacons. The sun is up, and it is a lovely day here just west of downtown Nashville.
It is, man. Awesome. Glad to be out of the studio, man. I don't think I've laughed this much in a very long time. I don't know what it is because it's Friday, or we just simply out here having a good time. Either way,
both.
I have laughed a good bit this morning, and I'm a laugher in general, but today's just been one of those days, though.
It has been. I think yesterday we started it all. I don't know what was in the studio yesterday brewing, but I feel like the laughter
it was probably
started and continued here.
Appetizers were brewing.
I was gonna say,
RKW draft. That's what was brewed up.
I was going to say it was some NWI. That's
some black coffee.
That's what
You just keep bringing that up,
So
don't you?
disrespectful.
By the way, NWI had some drops yesterday.
I thought it was funny. I'm not even messing with you right there. I thought that was funny. Some NWI is what we're
sometimes you don't need to fancy things up.
You don't have to fancy. Basic is good sometimes. That's all we did.
I made a mistake with my black coffee this morning. So you guys know my kitchen has been cleaned out because I have a cockroach issue.
Yes.
Welcome to the hood,
which is what we call when Buck Rising enters the studio at 10 o'clock after us every morning. It's kind of like a cockroach issue.
I just spit out my
invading.
coffee, thanks.
So I plugged my coffee maker back in, and I made sure it's on a timer. So I made sure to update the time because it had when you unplug it, it gets rid of the scheduled time where you normally brewed coffee. It's like, all right, it's not a big deal. So I plugged it back in, made, all right, 4:30 a.m., make the coffee, like all this stuff. It's like, great, perfect. What I also forgot to do was program the clock in my coffee maker.
Love that.
So at about 1 a.m., there was a full, fresh brewed pot of coffee. And then by the time I woke up around 4:45, I tried it, and it was stale, lukewarm black coffee, which I still have in my mug here. So I've been asking anyone and everyone around me if there is a cup of coffee that I can hijack, because this one in front of me, I did drink half of it on the drive over here because I needed something. But half of this cup of coffee was made about at 1:30 in the morning. So.
Okay, Will, I can't believe you drank that.
Well, I mean, it still gets the job
I get
done.
it.
Like,
you
it's
need
not,
something.
It's not going to expire.
Sure. But, man, 1 o'clock brew, huh?
Lukewarm coffee is better than no coffee.
It doesn't lose its caffeine like powers?
I know, that's what I would.
I don't know.
My
My parents will all the time take the lukewarm coffee, put it in a mug, and microwave it.
Yeah.
I would just rather make
that.
a new pot than do that a lot of times because I'm a snob about the way it tastes. But You got to do what you got to do.
Yeah, you do.
For the first guy.
I have no coffee this morning, so I'm the one that's left with nothing. I know.
How'd you drive here?
Just find a way, man. Okay. That's all. I mean,
no Celsius either, huh?
No Celsius either. Well, I mean, I made it. Okay, let's
you're wearing your Mariners jersey.
My girl was.
Where's the Tennessee jersey today?
Look,
this is playoff baseball we've got going on today, and you're repping a team that you don't even like.
Griffey.
After hearing Tony V yesterday on 3HL, I was just like, all right, there's no need to assemble the Power Rangers. I'm good to go. He was solid. The squad will be ready to go, and I'm here for all of those things.
Speaking of that interview, great interview by the way on 3HL with Tony.
Yes.
So Travis went to go get pizza, and I see him pull back in, and he sits in his car for like 15 minutes. And I call him, and he puts me to the voicemail.
Yeah.
And I text him, and I says, what the hell are you doing? Just sitting out there in the truck with the pizza getting cold? And he goes, Vitello interview. And that's all he answered back with.
Travis, not even a Tennessee grad either. Not even a Tennessee
He
fan.
loves
I love that.
Tony Vitello.
I love that.
Actually, they're very similar in some ways, which, scares me because, Travis, I'm like, you know what, Travis? Go do you some coaching then. If this is your personality, go do you some coaching.
Does Travis also drive an orange Lamborghini?
No.
With Tony Vitello.
Tacoma. But, if he had some money, maybe I could get him in that.
We love a Tacoma.
But my point, excellent interview.
See, that's what's so crazy right there, Kayla. He's in there. You see him. He ain't doing nothing wrong. He's just sitting in the car.
I love it.
You can't let him have his piece, man. All men want sometimes is just, look, I'm here. You see me. I got the goods, and I'm home.
Yeah.
I'm not in here doing anything. She broke his piece. Travis, good for you, man. It's Father's Month, okay?
It is Father's Month.
I know you ain't got a human kid.
He's a dog
but you got a pet kid, okay? Yeah. And because of that, respect his month, Kayla. That's all I'm asking. The man just want to listen to the interview, and you interrupting it. Travis, I hope he hit that button so hard.
He'll be texting in a second.
I hope he hit that button so hard. Ignores what he did to you, Kayla. Get that man his time back.
And he did say that, and then I said, okay, it was Vitello. I get it.
We're going to hear some of that interview coming up at 8 o'clock. I thought there were two answers specifically that really stuck out to me, and check it out on the 3HL podcast feed if you have not yet listened. It is a great conversation. Hey, he's just naturally funny too, Tony Vitello, and you'll enjoy it.
Quick with it. By the way, the comments after that, Kayla and Evan and Bank chat, Zach goes, go Vols. Cousin Danny goes, Travis is a real one. Cousin Danny, he screens you.
Oh, no.
Screening calls on the way Robert Walsh is screening y'all's calls when you call us.
Being screened now.
And Savage goes, Happy Father's Day month.
That's right.
Let's go.
There we go.
J.C. Latham talking yesterday at Ascension St. Thomas Sports Park after practice, after his first mandatory minicamp with the Titans, was asked about what he has learned the most from Bill Callahan and had this to say.
The hands, getting off the ball and using your hands right away. I mean, it's first touch, so it's about who's going to be able to use their hands the quickest and who's going to be in good posture. Even outside of Coach Callahan, every coach here preaches on posture. You want to be in good position to get the job done and be able to move in space.
All right, Ramon, you're nodding along like the preacher's finishing up the sermon.
Right.
Yeah, man. So he's essentially saying Coach wants him to play with violent hands. Mm-hmm. And whether you are a puncher or whether you're a guy that absorbs somebody's pass rush, one, you have to be the body type to do those types of things. And I saw from J.C. Latham myself, he has a powerful punch, and that's something that you got to be good at. But that's also it's a very technical thing, too, because you either need to be really good with your footwork, which he is, to be able to go out and punch somebody, because the thing is, if you miss, you've given up all of your defense in that moment right there. So that's what they are working on. You remember I told you they had the ropes and then the pushing also. Kayla and I witnessed that out at practice. Yeah. That is all about posture. Don't be a leaner. You've heard coaches all the time say, don't be a waist bender. That's what he's presenting himself in. If I can see your eyes, see where your head is, and see you got good body positioning, we can play football at that point. What Coach Callahan is doing is minimizing the defensive player's ability to beat you. He's teaching posture. He's teaching footwork. He's teaching hand placement. They are right now getting a masterclass of some of the most simplest things to do. But at all times, y'all, I tell you, at the end of the day, it's about your technique.
Yep.
Well, they're going to meet somebody this year. DeForest Buckner, let's just throw him out there. Josh Allen, that's just a trench monster, right? and you're going to get beat. And at the end of the day, your adjustment is just do the simple stuff. That's what I have to do today, and that's what he's teaching those guys. It sucks because, again, the 45 minutes of hell that he put those guys through, it's all about, and it's the same thing, too, every day for the most part. I think they've added a layer to Bertha and Olga to where they're not engaged with it. They're actually coming off the ball and then striking and lifting it, what we saw JC do on social media. But he's building and stacking technique over the course of this time that he's teaching. He's teaching.
Yeah.
And these guys are very receptive of it. And they know they have a really good coach because we've talked about it enough. I was going to say they don't know what they have, but they do.
They do. Yeah. Real quick, too, on that, it is a master class. And when Peter Skoronsky, I asked him about how he's picked up everything, because it is like a building process.
Yeah.
And he said it is. It's all simple stuff. He reiterated that, but he said it's just a matter of us doing it correctly.
Yes.
And, then being able to build upon that. And that's what you're seeing, like, every week doing just that.
It is.
Yeah.
100%.
615-737-1045. When we come back, we will be joined by VolQuest and On3's Brent Hubbs. 6 official visitors in town for Tennessee football this weekend, including an offensive lineman Tennessee badly wants to pair with big-time target David Sanders. We will talk about that, get you an update on Tennessee baseball, and much more with Brent Hubbs next.
Hey, it's Ramon Foster for Secure Line here with my guy Mark, man, owner of Secure Line. Mark, man, you own it and is naturally is locally owned and operated here, man. You guys have been here in Middle Tennessee for over 20 years. What services do you offer, and how has your business changed over the years?
Yeah, Ramon, thanks for having us today. We offer lawn fertilization, weed control, fungicides. Do the seeding aeration. We also do tree shrub care, and we've got the best techs in the business that can help us out. Over the years, what we have learned is that we have to make it easy for people to choose to do business with us. And times have changed over the years. And we had a group where my brother Chad and I, who help run the company, we would sit down at people's tables and eat breakfast with them or eat dinner afterwards and do the sell. And now we're realizing that, there's another group of individuals out there that we had to switch our system. We can do fast online immediate quotes for you for your weed control and fertilizer. Give Eddie O a call. He'll be more than happy to help you out.
No doubt about it, man. And you guys live by a platinum rule, too. What does that mean for your customers that receive your service?
Yeah, what that really means for us is we want to treat people how they want to be treated, not necessarily how we want to be treated. And we have to walk in the customer's shoes, and we have to really educate our customers. We have to come out and, explain to them what's going on, where all they really need to do is water and mow. We'll take care of the rest of the business.
That's why you take care of my lawn, man. Okay, if you need anything done around your house as it pertains to those weeds, or just making sure your grass is the greenest in the neighborhood like mine is right now, simply reach out to a Secure Lawn at 615-893-8455 or go to securelawn.com.
Friday morning rolls on here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, live from Greystone Golf Club at the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. Whole crew is here. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh. I'm Will Bowling. We are pleased to be joined every Friday morning at 7:20 by our good friend Brent Hubbs of VolQuest and On 3. Brent, I am not ducking you this morning. I am here, present, and accounted for to talk with you. How are you?
Well, I'm just amazed that you're not on the first tee or on the range getting loose this morning, and that you have time to be on the radio. So that's the first winning thing that's happening for you guys this morning. Now the question is, who's the best golfer out of you four? Because I got to put Walsh in there as well. Who's the best golfer?
Don't put Walsh in there,
so,
man.
Brent, I may or may not have actually gotten into double digits for the first time within the last month. So we are sub 100 and feeling good. The morning tee time is reserved for Ron Slay's cigars and good vibes in the mornings, and then us morning folk, we go in the afternoon while they're working and having to be all civilized and everything.
Oh, okay. I see. Well, Slay could be a challenge because, first of all, is he civilized in the morning or the afternoon is the question with Ron Slay.
You knew that answer, Hub. You already knew that answer. You just wanted to hear what the real was. But you know the answer. But see, here's the other thing.
It was rhetorical.
Yes. I know, but here's the other thing, too. You asked that first question on who's the best, and Will was really generous and didn't give an answer. It's me, okay?
Okay.
It's really not.
Your acting is not working this morning.
Hubs, I ain't even had coffee yet, okay? I'll be here all day, brother.
Free show.
And like Ron Slay, I don't think we're civilized. I think we're slavealized this morning.
Slavealized?
Ron Slay.
Okay.
Anyway,
back it up.
we're just we're gonna keep it rolling. We're gonna keep it rolling. For the love of God, you can't say anything.
It's Men's Mental Health Month.
That's great.
Oh my
Brent, save me. All right. Anyway, Ron Slay.
Oh, God.
We got to get bowling to the tee range. We got to get to the driving range.
We gonna get him, Hub.
Clearly, Brent, I spent too much time warming up my driver and not enough time warming up the puns this morning.
We got to get more reps,
That's
Hub.
terrible.
Ron in the
That
chat.
is crazy. Anyway.
Moving along.
All right. Before I get the call that I've been let go, Brent. There's no easy way to transition this back. Brent, let's talk about official visitors in Knoxville this weekend. And Tennessee looking at a big-time offensive lineman in Josh Petty. What are Tennessee's chances here to potentially pair up two of the best offensive linemen of this class?
Well, I mean, Josh and David Sanders know each other well. They have a good relationship. And you know, I'm sure they've had conversations about playing together, but both those guys are going to make their own independent decision. Florida State's been thought to be the leader for Josh Petty for a while. Stanford's in it. I don't know that he's going to go that far from home. So we'll see what happens with this one. What's interesting about Josh Petty is he's not a project, but he is a guy that when he transitions to college, weight gain is going to be a huge priority. And I think that everybody's kind of looking to say, you know, just how much he's progressed the last couple of years in terms of growing in size. I mean, David Sanders a year ago was 260 pounds, and now he's 290. So, I mean, he's progressing the way that you want to as your body naturally grows. And I think that Josh Petty's a guy who's got to do that as well. But he is the priority for Tennessee. They've got to flip him, I think, from Florida State, because I think Florida State's the leader, and he will be the guy getting the attention this weekend as Tennessee starts the crazy month of June with official visits. And they'll have a handful in this weekend, and then it gets really crazy because you're talking about maybe 24 each of the next 2 weekends to kind of close out the month of June. So busy time, critical time in recruiting for sure.
Brent Hubbs of VolQuest, our guest here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Speaking of guys putting on weight and generating buzz, I know you guys wrote in the War Room about Joshua Josephs, and for all the conversation about James Pierce, is Joseph starting to emerge as that other guy, and why has he generated the buzz that he has this offseason?
Well, you go back to the freshman year, it was Joshua Josephs who was getting the playing time over James Pierce. But James Pierce had the explosiveness, had the quick burst step, and everybody said if Pierce puts it all together, then Pierce is going to be, you know, a really good player. And we're obviously seeing that to the point that, a lot of people projecting him a top 5 pick in the draft. I don't think Joshua Joseph had the great jump between. I know he didn't have the jump between his freshman and sophomore year that you were looking for. I don't know that his focus was exactly where it needed to be. I don't think he put on the weight. I think he had some distractions, some things going on, which is typical of a college player at that age. And I think what he's done now is I think he's dedicated himself to the game. I think his focus is where it needs to be. He's doing all the little things he's supposed to do, weight room, nutrition. He's drinking the shakes. He's working out. His diet is much better. And he's put himself in a position that he has had a really nice off season. He had a really good spring. And he's now over 240 pounds, approaching 250 pounds. And, he's going to be in a rotation there with Pearson. And obviously, I think you can see them on the field at the same time, particularly in that third down Rabbits package, which is a good thing for Tennessee because everybody could see Joshua Joseph's talent his freshman year. It was on display. You knew it was there. And I think it's going to show up again this year.
Brent Hubbs with us this morning of All Question on 3. I'm over here talking like it's just you and me right now, okay?
That's all right. That's good. Conversation, baby. That's how I like it.
Conversation. I'm going to blame you if this team doesn't do well this year because you let them go to Cleveland to a Cleveland Browns camp this year.
I knew you were going to ask that.
No, but seriously, what do they gain from that? And what's the mindset of the coaches being able to take those NFL trips?
Well, I think you're always just, you want to pick the brains of people. And, in the college game, everybody's still secretive, right? But you're not as secretive when you get to the NFL deal. And I think it was a lot of defensive stuff more than it was offensive stuff, although they all went up there. I think you're also looking at, personnel department. How does that work? Because that's changing in the college landscape in terms of, more personnel departments, if you will, being developed because of everything, all the rule changes that are out there. So I think it was an all-encompassing thing. And obviously Tennessee has a tie to the Cleveland Browns with the Haslam family, so that's an easy trip to take. And just a little skull session, a blitz here and there, some things that you're doing on 3rd and long in the NFL. Does that work, in the college game? What are you doing? Just that type of stuff. Very normal, football conversations in the off season. Some people bring guys in, some people go places. Tennessee's done both. And you're always trying to look and grow and learn, and I think that was the course of what they were trying to do.
So that Cleveland Browns defense is a Greg Williams defense, right? And recently, I'm going to this point right here. Recently, Athlon Sports did an anonymous coach's comments, and on Tennessee's it was, they don't know how good the defense is going to be, but as long as they got a good quarterback in Nico, they know they're going to have a good squad. I push back on that, and I'll say this. I think that defense hasn't gotten enough credit, and I think they carried this team a little bit more than fans want to give it credit for last year. With that being said, there's a lot on the line for a guy like Tim Banks who's going to be looking for a head coaching job sometime soon with what that defense is capable of with some of the players they have on that side of the ball too.
Yeah, no doubt. And, here's the thing about Tim Banks that gets lost. Tim Banks was a co-coordinator when he came to Tennessee. So when he came in, he didn't have a true, this is my system. This is what I do. I think it's a system that has grown, and I think it continues to evolve. It obviously is very aggressive, which I'm sure he enjoyed this conversation with Greg Williams because last time I checked, he was a pretty aggressive defensive coordinator. And so I think it's a situation with Tim Banks where he's continuing to develop his scheme as he's gotten his personnel together. And I think you're going to see it be aggressive. And I agree with you, Ramona. I mean, I think the defense, you don't beat Texas A&M last year without that defense. And I think the defense has played better than people want to give it credit for. I think that's a little bit of a sensitive subject with Tim Banks because I think he, doesn't feel like necessarily they're getting all the credit that they deserve. And this is a defense that's got a chance to be pretty doggone good. They're really good up front. If Keenan Peter can stay healthy, they're going to be, I think, better at the linebacker position, and they're going to be more athletic in the back end. The question is who's going to be in the back end and how mistake-free can they play back there, and how much does that defensive line help them play mistake-free in the back end? Because I think they got a chance to be super aggressive with what they have personnel-wise right now.
Brent Hubbs, our good friend of VolQuest, joining us as he does every Friday on RKW. And always go and check out his work. He does the War Room and a lot of good little nuggets in there, including just wanted to know a little bit more about the new rule, if that passes, that says anyone on a staff can be declared a recruiter and how that maybe benefits teams.
Well, it's going to be fascinating to see what head coaches do and how they manage the rules. So the rule states, if it passes, you can have your 10 recruiters, your assistant coaches, and your head coach go out on the road. You have to declare before you go out. Each year, you've got to declare who you're putting out on the road. Well, it used to be you only put your full-time assistants out there. And if you had a coaching change, you had an opening, you could win in a petition. There was one point Tennessee had Judy Jackson on the road when they were short a staff member. If you're short a staff member, or you had an extenuating circumstance like they had this past year, Willie Martinez was hurt, injured, could not travel, doctors wouldn't allow it, so they put a GA or an analyst on the road. What the NCAA is saying now is you can have an unlimited staff, and then you have to declare who you're going to put on the road. And it could be an analyst, it could be a GA, it could be a full-time assistant, it could be whatever you want. And so coaches are going to, do you take that and really create a true scouting department? And what I mean by that is, okay, your coordinators, you don't want to put your coordinators on the road so they can focus only on their current team, and you put 2 analysts on the road to go in homes and go recruit, and basically you tell them, your job is to recruit all the time. We just want you to be a recruiter. Much like in the NFL, your scouting department, you're not watching NFL games. You're going and watching college games. And you're watching college tape, and you're going to pro days and all those types of things. Is that what this is going to evolve into in the college game? I don't know. And then if you're going to go with that kind of world, you're going to have to pay those guys traveling as analysts more money than you're paying them now. So how do you adjust your coaching salary pool based off of that? Pretty interesting decisions that head coaches are going to have to make if this rule passes, because everybody's got staff members where they're really good X's and O's guys, but maybe they're not the best recruiter. And then you have some staff members who are really good recruiters that maybe they're not the best X's and O's guys. And now you can structure it how you want to, but how you do that is going to be pretty fascinating to watch in the decision that coaches are making. I think it's an interesting rule that how coaches attack it, the head coaches attack it, is an unknown right now.
Brent Hubbs joining us on RKW. Let's move over to the Diamond, Brent, and here we go. The start of Super Regional play, and of course, Tony Vitello and his team enjoying home field advantage again. Just how much, being able to stay in their own beds back-to-back weeks and preparing. I know the game times have been a talking point, but how much of a benefit is that going up against this Evansville team starting today?
Well, I think playing at home is where you're comfortable, and you're always more comfortable there. I do think the start times, I don't want to say negate a home field advantage because it doesn't, but it changes it. You're playing at 3 o'clock this afternoon on a Friday. It's not going to be a rocking 7 o'clock Friday night crowd like you typically see. And listen, that game's at 3 o'clock today because nobody in television land feels like this is a series that's going to be the most competitive series. They see this as Tennessee's the heavy favorite. This is the 1 versus 16 game that plays at noon on the opening day of the NCAA tournament. It's what this is. And so I do think that, and Ramon, you can speak to this. I know the sports are different, but if you're playing a road game, you like the early starts, particularly at the college. You like to eat breakfast and roll to the ball yard and not sit around in a hotel all day waiting to play. So there's some advantage to Evansville not sitting around till 7 o'clock tonight and letting Lindsey Nelson Stadium get lathered up as it's not going to be as raucous as it typically would be. And then on Saturday, you're playing at 11 o'clock, which is super early. You eat breakfast and go to BP, so you don't have all day to sit around and think about it. It would probably be a better advantage for the road team. But Tennessee's a better team. It's always good to play at home. You can't dictate TV times. Heck, I think Kentucky's playing at 9 o'clock Eastern time on Sunday, which is a crazy time for their regional. So that's the way the world of television, and you take it and run with it. But Tennessee will be ready to go. It just won't be as hostile of an environment, I don't think, for Evansville as it would be if it were 2 primetime night games.
VolQuest's Brent Hubbs, our guest here this morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. It was interesting, Brent, hearing from Tony Vitello on 3HL yesterday, and they asked a good question about how have you evolved and changed since you got to Tennessee, and he said, honestly, I kind of am who I am. There was a chair out of place in my condo the other day. I thought either someone had broken in or there was a ghost because he just kind of is who he is. But to me, Brent, it seems like his demeanor, he's a bit calmer. He's maybe more reasonable in the way that he interacts with players, with umpires, and all these things. Do you notice that? And what does the evolution of Tony Vitello look like from your perspective?
Well, I think there's a natural maturing process. I mean, you got to remember, he's a first-time head coach. He goes from the assistant chair to being a head coach, so there's a learning curve there. He's got the Italian blood, so he does get fiery. Ask Mississippi State in the SEC tournament. I mean, he's still gonna be himself in that regard. But I do think that he has taken on a little bit more of this team's personality this year than maybe in previous years, where he took on a team's personality that was pretty cocky, pretty brash, pretty standoffish. I think this team's, and I think Tony's really enjoyed coaching this team. It's not that he didn't appreciate and doesn't like the previous teams that he's coached, but this team is more workmanlike, I think, and a little more balanced than some of the previous teams are, just in their demeanor and how they handle themselves. They're not looking, every game is not looking for a street fight. It's just go play the game of baseball. And I think Tony has kind of adapted to their personality a little bit more. I don't know that it's Tony evolving as much as it is, okay, I coach this team a little different because maybe I don't have to give, maybe I give a different speech to this team because of their personality. When a couple of years ago, maybe my speech was, hey guys, we've got to calm down and play 9 innings and not try to get in a brawl in the 3rd inning type deal. And I just think that he's coaching more to this team's personality, which is a different personality than we've seen from previous teams.
Real quick, Hubbs, have you seen Chaz Lanier enjoy the baseball games? And I've seen the social media. It looks like he made the right decision. Has that shown to you?
Yeah, I think so. Listen, he wanted, and his family, he wanted to come back and play in this state and play for this school, and he wanted to play for Rick Barnes. And I don't think he's had the first moment of buyer's remorse. I think the team has welcomed him. I think he's fit into the chemistry really well. He knows a lot of people who are non-basketball players who are going to school at Tennessee. He knows some other athletes in other sports, Ramon. And I think there's a comfort level with that. There's a feeling of I'm home and I've come back home. And I think it's been a nice couple of weeks for him. And now he's getting ready to feel like what it really feels like to get coached by Rick Barnes, because it's probably going to be a little different than he thinks it's going to be. He knows what it's going to be, but it's still going to be a little bit different than what he thinks it's going to be. But when they get out on the court, even in the middle of June.
VolQuest's Brent Hubbs has been our guest, as he is every Friday morning here at 7:20 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. A must follow for Vols fans at Brent_Hubbs on Twitter. Excellent stuff as always, Brent. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of your weekend or day and a great weekend. Hopefully we're talking about Omaha this time next week.
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Hubbs.
Absolutely. There he is,
see
Brent Hubbs, with us here this morning. God, I cannot believe the way I started this.
We'll forget about that.
I'd like to apologize to, first of all, 3HL, to Ron Slay, as there's a deep drive into left by Castellanos, and that'll make it a 4-1 ball game. Coming up next, NFL headlines. There is an NFL coach who I've liked who is starting to border on downright weird. We'll talk about that next.
Don't let rising costs and high interest rates bum you out. Genesis Diamonds is rolling it all back with zero interest financing and even better value prices. Right now, only at Genesis, get zero interest for 5 years on any purchase. That's including a handcrafted Sakura ring with a GIA certified diamond. It's only $100, or wedding bands, colored bands, fashion necklaces, just $40 a month. Pick any item, pay zero down, and spread your payments over 5 years, even the sales tax. Or how about that amazing amazing $3,000 pair of diamond stud earrings, just $50 a month. Luxury pre-owned Rolex watches are also included. So while interest rates are going up and up at other places, Genesis is offering real interest rate relief, and you need to take advantage of this. 0.0 for 5 years. This makes everything more affordable, and it's just the smartest way to buy. So don't miss this amazing offer. All natural and lab-grown diamonds are included as well, now through June 30th at Genesis Diamonds. They're located in Green Hills and Cool Springs.
RKW live from the Spring Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters today at Greystone Golf Club. Ramon, Kayla, and Will. Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, Robert Walsh, Kirby Allen Kirby on site. Jackson Williams, our producer, back at the studio. So there is an NFL coach, guys, who I have been a big advocate of. Mm-hmm. I think he's cool. Yep. I think he's got nice shoes, the $1,000 sunglasses. Mike McDaniel of the Miami Dolphins is doing something I think is very weird. So Marcel Louis-Jacques, I'm going to butcher that, said on Twitter, talk about doing things with intent. Mike McDaniel said his staff schedules meeting at times that end in 24 with the Miami Dolphins, 3:24, 5:24, 7:24, etc., to represent the 24 years it's been since the Dolphins have won a playoff game.
Okay.
And Miami is hoping to snap that drought in 2024. Having meetings on the 24s to remind yourself of a playoff drought is weird or creative?
I'm going to go a step further. It's corny. It's unnecessary. It's not football. Like, I put the signs around the building. But you know who controls wins and losses? A coach. How about let's go do that thing where you hold that piece of paper and you call plays and get your defense in team preps. Like, instead of his cool shoes and his cool outfits that he has on game day, let's focus in on the field. That's the reason, okay, Bill Belichick, cut off sleeves, okay, great sweatshirt, gray sweatshirt with some dad shoes on. Like, that's what matters, okay? Like, you doing stuff like that, I think takes away from what we're there for, like, legitimately. If we got to talk about non-football things, then we're wasting time. That's what I've always been told. If I got to tell you guys, hey, to clean up the locker room, if I got to tell you guys, be nice to the service worker, if I got to do anything that's not film, football-based, or just concentrating on us winning games, then we're losing. That's the issue. I understand where he's coming from, but how about no?
Yeah, hard pass on that. And I feel like if you were to have not said his name and you were to have told that story and say, match this with the coach, I think a lot of people would have probably guessed him. Just because he comes across as he wants to do things different. And I get it. A lot of the things that he does is forward thinking offensively. And I'm okay with doing some things different. But at a time, like, I feel like he kind of presses that a little. Mm-hmm. And he goes out of his way to be that different coach.
Right.
And in this situation, that's where I put this. Like, dude, let's just think about just working in the off season, figuring out, things before training camp, and then, getting in the season. You still have to be able to take this team where they expect to go. Yeah. Also, you mentioned it with the cold weather, atmospheres and getting games won in that fashion. Like, there's still a lot of things this Miami team needs to do to get to the next level. So, bro, just pump the brakes a little bit on the new age talk. And let's not go there. I don't think that's creative. I think that's cringy as well.
24, also a temperature. Tua Tagovailoa is physically incapable of winning.
There you go.
I have no issue with it. I think it's funny.
You like it.
Those players know who Mike McDaniel is. This is not something that's going to surprise them. He is a very honest and blunt communicator in the way that he talks to his players. I think that is his style of coaching. I think that is his personality. And at this point, any player that is surprised by him doing something like that or is bothered by something like that probably shouldn't be there in the first place, because that's just who Mike McDaniel is. It's his leadership style. It's the way that he works. He's had a good amount of success. Do I think it's kind of weird? Sure. But for me, he's earned the right to do weird things like this because he's pretty honest in the way he communicates with his guys. And I had a coach in high school who we would practice at 2:57. And that was the start time because there was this old school coach idea. I don't remember the coach specifically who started this, that said if you start practices and meetings at off times, you're more likely to remember and focus on the exact time you're supposed to be there, and you're less likely to be late. So if we were late to practice at 2:58, we were doing push-ups. So 2:57 was the way that he told us to specifically be at practice, and I liked it. I thought it was cool.
I get it, but he's not raising kids or college athletes anymore. He's got NFL players.
Does he even have kids?
I understand what he's coming from. I think I'm not even sure.
He is a kid, honestly.
I was
he
going to
still
say, I
is.
think he's a kid.
I get where he's coming from, but to me, that's somewhat unnecessary. Just go win games. Because I'm going to joke the hell out of him. Well, what would you do in 24?
Did you have anything like that was weird with because I cannot see Tomlin doing anything like that, but maybe he had his quirks.
No, we did not.
You just got black Air Force Ones in the locker room.
Right?
Black Air Force Ones was a thing. The one thing that became a thing was the standard is a standard.
Yeah.
That's
like
the
a
one
phrase or
phrase. That was the one thing. The Black Air Force Ones can be they can be in that same conversation.
That's kind of cool,
But
though.
you go win though.
Yeah.
Every coach does things like this. Everyone has different motivating factors. I think this is one of those things the internet will react to and grill him for, but his players appreciate it.
I'm pretty sure we wore Black Air Force Ones to Baltimore.
I knew you were going to. He didn't even hear it. Bert's not even listening.
Robert Walsh deep in conversation with
Yeah, he
Kirby
is.
Kirby.
I will say this: the crowd out here is great at Greystone is thick too.
People are just chugging beers already.
The positive is that I don't think there's a speaker out there that has our voices playing where they can hear us, so we can broadcast and just absolutely roast the heck out of all these bad golf shots.
I know somebody's
that
going
we
to get
see
roasted
happen right in
today.
front of us. Who's that?
Brent Hubbs?
Daugherty. Yes.
Or Brent Daugherty.
Brent Daugherty. Ron Slade saw him dressed in Tennessee orange.
He is.
But he's got on Florida blue pants.
What the heck?
Wait.
He think he's
I didn't
repping
even
us.
realize that.
Yeah, he looked like a Florida Gator today. He looks like a Florida Gator today.
Did he even realize he put on the blue pants? That defeats the purpose there.
He saw the top but didn't see the bottom.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
That's crazy. He like a Gator today. is
Got
all I
dressed in
got
the
for him.
dark.
I hope Babs bashes him. That's all I want. That's all
She
I
will.
want.
Interesting.
Gator head
So
on
he's
him.
getting ready for Florida's Super Regional.
That's what's crazy.
Against Clemson.
No way they win this scramble today, right?
Nah.
Out here.
Brent?
Yeah.
Not
They
with that
have,
Florida gear.
do they have Brent Curd again?
God dang.
I know.
asking.
You put Kern in that. And
I know.
I don't think so, but
So, no.
I could be
They do not
wrong.
have a chance.
And Mr. Babs, Travis, also.
Right.
He's pretty solid.
Solid,
yeah.
They might actually win.
Oh, if anyone has left-handed clubs that can hear us and needs a ringer to come hit a celeb tee shot at some point, I'm not a celebrity, but I will humbly accept
Yeah, 100%. Take that.
your offers.
Take that.
615-737-1045. There was something Tony Vitello said yesterday on 3HL that was very interesting and should get Tennessee fans, I think, very excited for the short-term and long-term future of Tennessee baseball. And we'll tell you about that coming up next.
All right, we are out here at the beautiful Greystone Golf Club, and that just reminded me a lot of people who maybe want to get out during the summer months, maybe doing some golfing, or just if you want to get out on your bike or take a run or walk and you're not able to do that because of that joint pain, this is the best time to get in on QC Kinetics and what they offer. Maybe you're feeling it in your knees, your shoulders, your back, your hips. Don't suffer any longer, folks. Join the crew that will help you with long-term joint pain relief. It's QC Kinetics, and you can call them today to get more. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in regenerative medicine, and I'm talking about long-lasting joint pain relief, no surgery, no drugs, and no downtime. In fact, QC Kinetics advanced treatments harness your own body's ability to restore and repair that damaged joint tissue so you can walk and run, hike and play golf, and move again pain-free. Their advanced protocols have enabled tens of thousands of patients to reclaim their mobility back, and you can be one of them. Stop putting it off and pick up the phone today. Give QC Kinetics a call and get a free consultation at 615-249-4025. That's QC Kinetics at 615-249-4024.
8:01. Good morning. Happy Friday from the Spring Golf Classic at Greystone, brought to you by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. News from around the league from OTAs. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson was held out of the final day of Colts OTAs with a shoulder soreness. Head coach Shane Steichen insisted it was a precautionary measure, but in 2023, Richardson played in 4 games before being added to injured reserve with an injury to the same shoulder. Kansas City Chiefs ended their practice early yesterday when defensive end B.J. Thompson suffered a seizure and went into cardiac arrest. We received an update late last night from Todd Pelissero via Thompson's agent. Quote, BJ is still unconscious at this point, but he's stable and his vitals are looking good. Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night, Celtics win by 18 over the Mavs, 107-89. Efficient shooting night for the Celtics. Every starter scoring in the double digits, and in his first game back, Kristaps Porzingis scored 20, going 8 of 13. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your own for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Friday morning, and we're acting like it right here on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Robert Walsh, and Kirby Allen Kirby on site. My name is Will Bowling. Jackson Williams holding down the fort in our Midtown studios. The way you get in on the discussion is by tuning in on Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. 1045 The Zone TV. You can join the F&M Bank chat in the comment section there and chat with us, or you can call us 615-737-1045 here at the Spring Golf Classic presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters today at Greystone Golf Club. You can get into the spirit of summer like Ramon Foster. He has got an orange juice with a lime.
Yeah.
Convince yourself you're on a South Florida beach this morning.
I thought that was OJ and vodka this morning.
It could have been gin. It could have been Sailor Jerry's. It could have been any. But Reka, what is that out here? Reka vodka.
Right, but we're on
and
the
our
clock.
Terrific beverage sponsors: Milagro Tequila, Hendricks Gin, Reka Vodka, Sailor Jerry Spiced Rum, Lippman Brothers, taking care of our golfers today.
She did ask if I wanted to splash.
Sure.
She did.
And she should have.
And it was the right thing to do to ask me if I wanted to splash this one. I turned it down. I said, just make it look like I got something.
No mimosa.
Here. No mimosa, but I got a lime on the rim. So
Ramosa.
Looks fancy.
A Ramosa.
I like that.
That word combination went a lot better than my last
Yes,
one.
it did.
I know a
Happened in
girl
the last
named
hour.
that. No.
Ramona. Why do
Ramona.
people in the chat do that to get
Call
under
me
your
Ramona?
skin?
It doesn't actually.
I don't think it does.
Not at all. I said I would never name my daughter Ramona. But somebody calling me Ramona never been a thing.
The worst is when people put the E on your last name.
Yes.
Down.
Yes.
That gets under your skin.
That gets under my skin.
Like why?
That
Why? We don't need the E.
No, we don't need the E. And I hate to say, just like if I was a Hispanic guy, like it's Ramon. Like, why y'all call me Raymond?
Raymond,
Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
So weird.
What are you laughing at, Bert, huh?
You're just so particular. So, but no E. Give me a lime. I don't want any liquor in my drink. I'm a big baby. It's Friday. I ain't got nothing to do.
How does it feel being a loser because you couldn't get the Twitch please in, huh? How loser?
You know what?
Loser of hour 8.
That's fine. I was a loser of hour 1 and hour 3.
Oh, now it's-
But he's winning at life. Yes, you are,
himself.
Then
Bert.
let's make us all winners right now.
Okay.
Jackson Williams, there is a creed that we have on Fridays.
What are we doing?
Oh, Jackson.
And it is that when it is
go.
Friday,
we shall.
we will properly act like
Yes,
it.
we will.
You look so bougie right now.
I love it. I'm getting a picture.
This is a
It's my
perfect
uncle's right here,
song
Bert.
to have on in the golf cart today.
With a cup in hand,
Let's
baby.
go. Yeah. Uh-huh. Friday at the golf
I don't know
course.
who I'm pointing and dancing to right now, but get you another one. Get you another one. Tab is open.
I just see Ramon at a golf tournament like this being the DJ Khaled on a golf course. Straight down the middle. Success.
Get you somebody that can drive like that.
Have y'all seen those videos?
Yes.
DJ Khaled at the golf course. Straight down the middle.
They call me green asparagus because I'm always green.
That sounds like one of the home run calls from the NCAA baseball tournament last week. Did you guys hear that? His favorite color is green trees. Because there was a ball that went into the trees. It was
hey.
Is that like Will Levis and the ball?
No, don't get rid of that music. That's the longest we ever had to play.
I know. Let's keep it up this whole segment.
Raise the coffee up, Kayla. We got some Kahlua in there.
You betcha.
Oh, you can get rid of me.
All right, we done now.
It's Friday.
It is, baby. Here we go.
Tighten up those harmonies there.
I know. We do got to get it together.
Tighten that up.
Friday.
We're gonna do what we need to have it together.
Tighten it up.
That's real.
Just a little bit. Speaking of tightening up, we will talk about Will Levis coming up in
She said you're a little low there, Mom. Really?
No, I said you go low.
Oh, okay. I go low. All right, good.
We'll talk about Will Levis coming up in 15 minutes. Mandatory minicamp wrapping up yesterday for the Titans. I'll talk about his progress. Are you comfortable with where Will Levis is at this point of the offseason? We'll hear what Brian Callahan had to say about his quarterback as well coming up in just a few minutes. But, guys, there was something Tony Vitello said yesterday I thought was really interesting on 3HL, and it was a great question by Slay asking specifically, who is the Zakai Ziegler or Hendon Hooker or diamond in the rough of this Tennessee baseball team taking on Evansville today in game 1 of the Knoxville Super Regional at 2 o'clock? I figured his answer would be Hunter Ensley, his veteran center fielder from Huntington, Tennessee. But I think this answer should get Tennessee fans excited about the long-term future of Tennessee baseball, and it's something we've talked about a lot. They're just now recruiting to success. This was Tony Vitello about recruiting Vols fans, including his center fielder.
We've been blessed. This is our first group where and next year's group will really reflect where we have a big stadium to recruit to, a little bit of a winning reputation and things like that. But we started out from what we consider to be humble roots, and we're kind of only able in the state of Tennessee to get diehard Vol fans. Yep. And even some of those guys said, man, I'm a Vol fan, but I kind of want to win. Well, Hunter Ensley, our center fielder, is a kid who was all Vol, and he committed to the old coaching staff, kind of went back to neutral, and then almost kind of recommitted to our coaching staff because we saw him play and we liked him. Then he had to redshirt. Then he had to play behind a lot of really good players on that 2022 team. And so he's kind of been through the ringer. He's been through injuries, but he is a blue-collar kid that's a fighter on the field, literally. And he kind of represents the way we want our guys to play the game. And it's perfect that he's in the middle of the order for us, and he's playing center field in the middle of the field. And he's an older guy that's a true team leader of this group. And, again, he wasn't one of those guys like Cal that was hyped up or on Team USA in high school or anything like that. But I'll tell you what, there ain't a lot of guys I'd trade for that dude right there.
Hunter Ensley, the pride of Huntington, Tennessee. I think that is a candid answer from Tony about the way high school baseball recruiting works. You are getting a lot of freshmen to commit, and in a lot of ways – you haven't even really seen the full impacts of how well Tony Vitello recruits high school players until next year when they have a top 3 recruiting class in the country, and the one coming in this year who's the number 1 class in the country.
Man, for a lot of things, Tony Vitello, with a lot of what he said right there, has gone up again in my book because it shows to me that he's a coach. Mm-hmm. He wants to develop. He understood Cal Stark, like he said, came in with a lot of high praise, but to have a guy and Hunter Ensley who is a dude, just a guy, and has developed himself, and they actually took time with him. They could have easily pushed him into the portal and say, hey, man, you not for us. And that to me, as far as I always say, if you're going to be a coach and, want to go win games, there needs to be an element of you being a coach, wanting to teach, wanting to build a squad. And it's by far probably one of the best interviews I've ever heard Tony Vitello have yesterday. And he gave a lot, and specifically in that answer right there, I love the fact that he's a coach. You know,
Yeah.
Kayla? Your husband's in baseball.
Yeah.
He knows how ugly it can be.
And that's why he came back from sitting in his truck for 20 minutes with the pizza. And he said, that was an incredible interview. And he said, I can relate to so much that Tony says being a coach, at the high school level and playing baseball minds kind of think alike sometimes. But just with how, I guess, transparent he is with a lot of the stuff and honest with things. And as a coach, you have before your eyes, as Vols fans, seen him grow even. Yeah. I mean, you talk about these players growing and these players, being able to kind of come into their own. You see Tony doing that as his journey goes on. And I think that's really cool. And he made a point to say, too, like, this is a huge stage for us. And this is a huge postseason for us, because I really think they're gaining ground now. They're getting the engine going now. If they can take this to Omaha and go deep, like, this is a huge hit for the program this year in a good way.
To me, it puts him in a position where if you thought he was just a show and a clown, you take the shoes off and put the clown nose up. He's a coach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Since 2021, nobody has won more baseball games than Tennessee and Tony Vitello.
It's really good.
Tony Vitello also scouted the Evansville Purple Aces. What makes them so good? And clearly he's got a lot of respect for Tennessee's opponent tonight in this weekend.
We just had all these meetings, and a lot of talk was about Sunday. The game is at 6 o'clock on Sunday. And like SEC series, when you got two good teams, a lot of times it comes down to Sunday or game 3, and I wouldn't be at least bit surprised. And I hope we're at least in a good position where we win one of the first 2 games. But they are a team that is older. Their offense has a lot of experience, a lot of confidence, and from top to bottom, they're pretty well balanced. They got a kid from St. Louis, my hometown, that's always been a good player, but now he's much older. He's one of the best players in the country. And then they'll start off Friday night throwing their lefty, who's only a freshman, but he's one of the best left-handed pitchers in the country. So we'll have our work cut out for us, from inning 1 on.
And that is Kenton Deverman, the man who went 8 innings against ECU last week, allowed 1 run on 3 hits. Not a high strikeout guy. Deverman, 81 strikeouts in 106 and a third innings. Throws a lot of strikes. He did give up 106 hits in those 106 and a third innings he's pitched this year. A guy that pitches to contact, does not walk a lot of guys. So I'm interested to see how that works in Tennessee's ballpark against maybe the best lineup in college baseball tonight in Tennessee. That being said, Tennessee has struggled against lefties this season. That has been one of their few kryptonites, is going up against a really good left-handed pitcher, and that is exactly what they will do tonight, or this afternoon, I should say, against Kenton Deverman, the Missouri Valley Freshman of the Year.
This is the type of game for the fans inside of Lindsey Nelson that just sit back and just watch the game. It's going to be a lot on the ground. Might be low score, and you just got to take advantage of the silly balls that he might throw at you.
Kenton Deverman, Chris Stamos, the starting pitchers today. Of course, A.J. Causey will get the majority of the innings for Tennessee if all goes to plan. Coming up, how do we feel about Will Levis's progress through the offseason program? We'll hear what Brian Callahan had to say and give you our thoughts next. What's going on? It's Will Bowling. Do you or someone close to you find it maddening when you're hearing conversation, but there's a lot of background noise? We're at the golf tournament today. Maybe you are in the fairway, your buddies are in the rough, and the everything going on around you. You're not hearing that conversation maybe as clearly from long distances as you used to. Well, there's something you can do about this, and that's by going to Brentwood Hearing Center. And check them out online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. They've got 5 doctors of audiology. They've got the best state-of-the-art diagnostic equipment and the most recent hearing device technology. They want to help you get off the sidelines, out of the rough, and back into the fairway of better hearing. And they've got 85 years of experience from their convenient location right off of I-65 in Brentwood. They will tailor a hearing solution to each individual patient. Give them a call, 615-377-0420, or visit them online at BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. That's BrentwoodHearingCenter.com. Brentwood Hearing Center. Better hearing, better life. That's cool. Mandatory minicamp concluding, and lots to take away from yesterday on the practice field in the week for the Tennessee Titans. It's Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW live from Greystone Golf Club this morning at the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. We're going to hear from Brian Callahan coming up in a minute about how he evaluates Will Levis and how he evaluates certain parts of practice this time of year without pads in 7-on-7. But I'll ask both of you to start with, how happy are you with the progress you have seen and heard about from Will Levis this offseason?
I'm happy about it. One, it's simply this. He and the coaching staff are on the same page. To me, I think is the biggest thing that I wanted to see them get over is, all right, I knew they had to sell themselves to him and him to them, right? But it seems to me that they are all in on him. I'll be honest with you. When you presented this earlier, I was of the mindset to ask the question, like, is this what y'all want? Like, as a fan base, as we as media, do we want Will Levis? And then from there it becomes to, what is he doing to prove his case? I think he's a guy for this franchise. I think he's a guy that can play, make every throw. It does come down to what can Coach Brian Callahan, Nick Holtz, Bo Hardigree all do to mold Will Levis. Mm-hmm. That's my thing. But as far as it stands right now, Will, yes, I'm happy with the progress that he's made, to give the short answer.
Yeah, it's just for him, it's already a head start, being able to be that guy this season. He's not behind anybody. He can be taking a bigger step in leadership. And Josh Wiley said that in particular. He said he had to sit behind Ryan last year, right? He was not the starter. I mean, damn, he was the number 3 to start the season. And so he's really been able to approach this different going into this year, knowing he is the guy. So I think in terms of Will Levis, he's taken full advantage of that, whether that be the leadership aspect or what he's doing on the field to better himself. But I think his teammates acknowledge it too. I think his teammates see that as like, okay, he's making progress, and it's not going to happen overnight where everything's going to be perfect. And I think that's a good thing. I think it's good to hear 2 days ago that the offense wasn't maybe spot on and Will Levis wasn't spot on, but then they bounced back yesterday. To me, that's signs of progress in so many ways. So I do like where Will Levis is right now, and it is still early.
Brian Callahan was asked about 7-on-7 and how much that is an indicator of success, and made note about experimentation for his quarterback specifically, having freedom to mess up a little bit. Here's the head coach.
7-on-7 to me has always been a bit of an experimental period for quarterbacks. It's, there's no consequence, and sometimes you use those reps to find out what you can get away with. I encourage those quarterbacks to maybe not necessarily check the ball down every time in 7-on-7. Test your throws. Test the throw into a tight coverage, test it into a tight window, and then we can coach off the decision making. But sometimes there is a place for a little bit of experimentation and trying to see what you can and can't get away with in a live motion period. They're allowed to have some freedom to try some throws, and we coach off of it. And you can say, look, we know that you'd probably get to the back here in a real game, or you check the ball down here, but we don't mind an aggressive approach sometimes in 7-on-7.
They don't mind an aggressive approach within this part of the offseason. How much grace does Levis get for the mistakes he's making now, having heard that and having been given the concept about the instructions he's given for 7-on-7 drills specifically? I think it just tells him that you're number one. For us in this team, you are QB1, so figure out what you need as far as your style of play. And again, nobody ever wants to feel like they're working with somebody standing over their shoulders. I think that's also what this is doing for him, and he's saying it publicly. Like, all right, and even for us, the people that go to practice, watch practice, and cover this team, is everything that happens bad is probably not bad to the coaching staff. Mm-hmm. Everything that happens bad in practice, the bad day he had a couple days ago on Wednesday, right, it's not a bad thing for him or for us. It's a matter of how does he bounce back and what is he learning in these situations, man. I like to get to a point to where you're the known starter. You go into the training camp knowing this is my position. It ain't my position to lose. I'm not, Kayla, to your point a second ago, you said I'm not behind anybody, and the dudes that are behind me are here to support me with Mason Rudolph and Malik Willis. Let me go do the best thing
things that I can out here. There's nothing better than the coaches letting you know, man, just go do your thing.
Sure.
And that's what they're doing right now. And again, I wasn't here for the whole time that Ryan Tannehill was here. I know it wasn't a very offensive staff. But as far as the teaching that we're seeing right now with Will Levis, it lets you know that they're going to give him every single thing that he can to be successful. And I think that's the one thing we haven't mentioned, too, is as much freedom as they're giving him, as much as the playbook that he can say, yes, I do like this, no, I don't want this, is them also telling us if it doesn't go that way, and it was on him, you can't put it all on us. It was on you, and we're now looking for a quarterback again.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, Ramon, because they have surrounded him with people who can set him up for success, including just, wide receivers who have been there, done that, and can give them, him specifically some advice even on certain things and aren't afraid to do that. But they are allowing him early on to, like you mentioned, maybe make some mistakes and be able to say, okay, that works. Okay, this might not work. And if you're doing that early on with OTAs and mandatory minicamp, then when we're here at the end of July going into August and it's training camp time, I don't want to be talking about those certain things. Like, I want to see what next step have you taken, building that. It's the progression thing for me that I want to see here in the next couple of months.
I'm with that.
Yeah.
Brian Callahan was also asked about the mechanical tweaks that Levis is making and how that may also contribute to some mistakes, to just processing a lot of information, the trial and error of what works and what doesn't work. There's an aspect of mechanics to that as well. This was what Brian Callahan said yesterday.
Whenever guys are working on things, and like I said, we encourage guys to try different stuff. And Will's not the only one that is working with techniques. Some of those linemen are doing a bunch of new techniques, and so you see them trying things. We encourage guys to try that stuff as they're trying something new. And if it doesn't look great or they don't feel comfortable after a period of time, then we don't force a technique on them. And so for some reason, Will didn't feel comfortable with what we were teaching. He let us know, and we'd go back to whatever he felt better with. So, but there's hasn't been any reason to do that at this point. But certainly it's a trial period. It's a trial and error on some of these things that what guys feel comfortable with.
So Brian Callahan goes on to talk more about the timing of Levis specifically, and the knock on him through mandatory minicamp at times has been holding on to the ball just a half a beat too long. And there's a Nate Tice article at yahoosports.com yesterday that talked about that a little bit more. We can dive into here in a minute. But Callahan also talked about that timing and the progress he wants to continue to see yesterday after the minicamp practice.
Doing a good job. There's some timing things, like, for example, yesterday in the red zone, it might have been like the first or second time he might have repped a particular play. So it's all very new. And he was probably late on 2 or 3 throws down there on some new concepts that he hadn't banked the reps on. And so the hope is that you point it out the first time and you say this is the timing he needs to be on. He sees where the window is when the window's open. And then you keep working on that and you keep pushing that timing, because everything about how you play football in the NFL at the quarterback spot in the drop back game is very, very heavily timing based, and your feet got to be right. The processing of what you see has to happen fast, and then you got to trust what you see when you make the throw. It's the old adage, a lot of quarterbacks try to wait to see guys come open, and you're trying to anticipate when they're gonna be open, and that's a maturation process for a quarterback. And so the fun part is, like, he sees it and he understands it when it's not exactly right, and then he usually makes an adjustment the next time out. And so you take a red zone play, for example, the first day he runs it, maybe it's not great and the timing's not where you want it to be, and then we've repped it 4, 5, 6 more times before the season starts, and now you start to feel that timing, and he starts to feel it and see it. It's a rep thing. It's an experience process, and so that part's fun. I mean, that's the coaching part for me. That's where I enjoy.
Guys, that's 3 reasons right there why this staff and I think fans are giving Will Levis a little bit of a grace period. The timing with receivers, experimenting within 7-on-7, and the mechanical tweaks that he is making in his throwing motion. So if all that is the case now, minicamp's in the rear view, how much grace does Will Levis get to continue to mess up in the offseason? Is there a point in training camp where you say, all right, enough interceptions, enough mistakes, enough holding the ball too long, I need to see improvement? And is there a time where that starts to happen for you in training camp?
Yeah, it's probably about a week before the second preseason game. The first one's still going to be a shocker because everything is new and everybody's live. I think around that time, second preseason game, going into the last one, we got to start seeing or at least having those reports come out, hey, Will Levis had an awesome day. Against pads, against everybody being out there, ones-on-ones, good on good. And here's, my assessment, talking to people around it too. Apparently this offense is a quarterback's dream. There's so many options in it. So many abilities for you to just explore either, hey, as a dump off here, as a guy across the middle, as a guy down the field. Like there's layers to this offense. So as it pertains to him having answers to the test, right, as far as being in those camp moments, being in those preseason game moments too, around 3 weeks into camp, Will, that second preseason game is where I kind of want to see, okay, yes, that's a better NFL quarterback. That's not asking too much. That's the progression we ask for when we say whatever you did in year one is not going to surprise us in year two. We need something new. And something new for Will Levis is being able to manage a game, even if it's in a short window of time. I don't care if it's 30 reps in the game, right, for the ones that he has to play in. We got to see their progress and not some of those same things that he did last year. That's not a critique or knock on him. But if we see him in those games running out of the pocket, throwing across his body, and then see, even if the ball drops to the ground, I think I'm a side-eye him just a little bit because those are the things we said we had to get rid of. Because in this offense, I'm hoping what we all see, there is an option for you to throw to or throw away. Mm-hmm. That's how you survive the NFL.
You said this is a quarterback's, offensive dream in a way, right? Yep. And I believe that too. And I'll say I especially believe it because the pieces that they've added to help Will out. And talking to Tyler Boyd yesterday, specifically, by the way, what a pro, dude. In everything he does, whether that's running routes smooth or talking to us, he's smooth in every aspect. When he was asked about Will Levis's timing and where it should be right now, if there was any worries, he immediately said, it's still early. And I think now when we talk about giving grace, how long can we give that grace and how long do these players that, give grace to their quarterback? I think you're right, Ramon. I think you give it till that second preseason game because he's got to also get in a game. We're talking about building. We're talking about the progressions. And I think you're going to be able to start to really see if that's coming into play after some actual real game action. But he has the benefit of having a guy like Tyler Boyd who has played in this Brian Callahan offense, or there's a lot of parts that are similar. That's why I think guys like him are going to be his best friend in this period, especially of helping him along. Because when Tyler Boyd said that yesterday, he said, look, timing, it's not going to happen right now, but he has to learn when he can just sling it and when he has to go through his progressions. And he said that will come with time. It's still early. I liked that from Tyler Boyd yesterday.
Solid right there. That's good.
The week after pads come on for me.
Yeah, okay.
Pads come on. That's a separator. That is a different kind of challenge when you talk about J.C. Latham going up against NFL pass rushers with pads on for the first time. But I think it's the nature of the mistakes. And I just retweeted at Ramon Kayla Will a piece from Nate Tice of Yahoo Sports yesterday about a very deep dive into what was good and what was bad from Will Levis last season. And it's crazy to me in reading this. No quarterback averaged a higher depth of target in 2023 than Levis at 10.6 yards. That is the highest mark for any qualifying quarterback since Josh Allen's rookie year, number of 11 in 2018. C.J. Stroud was second with an average depth of target of 9 yards. That means on average you are throwing it when you're targeting a receiver 9 yards down the field. He was closer to the quarterback that ranked 20th than he was to Levis, who led that category last season. That to me says that Levis was used very one-dimensionally last year. It was play action, throw it deep to Hopkins. Or it was, holy crap, Andre Dillard whiffed again, I'm about to get hit, let me just chuck it deep to Hopkins. So there's an element of this where Levis is going to have to learn how to take the single and the double versus the home run or strike out, because he also got sacked too much last year. His rate of 9.9% of being pressured and those pressures turning into sacks ranked 25th out of 32 qualifying quarterbacks. I need to see him hit more singles quickly, right? It's one thing if you're trying to fit in a pass to a wide receiver and Tyler Boyd thinks that you want an 8-yard comeback and Levis thinks it's 10, right? Like, it depends on the type of mistakes. I don't think all mistakes are one size fits all. If Will Levis is holding on to the ball too long in week 1 of practice, I'm starting to get a little bit worried because there are certain mistakes I need him to clean up immediately.
And also to that depth of pass that you speak of, also, Will, is also probably to what that staff wanted to see. They wanted to see him with a big arm.
Yep.
Yeah.
They wanted to exploit that as much as they possibly could because they had a confidence that he could do it. That's what we're talking about, and we're all saying that year 1 to year 2 jump. Right, we know you got the cannon. We know you're Bazooka Joe out here, right? It's essentially what it's saying. But what can you do across the middle? Can you hit a 5-yard comeback, or can you get an in-out route to where it's only 3 yards? You get the ball in the flats really fast. How good are you at that right now? I told you the other day at practice, I saw him. I thought his touch was better. When it was tight red zone, and he was just floating the ball up in the air right into the receiver's pocket. So those are the things, essentially, we all are saying is, all right, I know you hit 7 often, all right? But let me see you hit a 4. Let me see you hit a 5, and those are the things we're looking for. So that and how he carries his feet.
Right.
Meaning you can't run. To your point, Will, throw it into the dirt.
Yeah,
throw it into the dirt.
That's the thing that's hard about doing the box score scouting of training camp and 7-on-7 and minicamp is, like, Will Levis can go 7 for 8, but how many times is he rolling out of the pocket on a clock that would have already expired in 11-on-11? That, to me, is the most difficult part of the 7-on-7 process, is that the clock is just so much longer to get rid of the football. 615-737-1045. How pleased are you with Will Levis's progress through the offseason? One Twitter comment says, this man hasn't even played 1 full season, and we're talking about grace. Come on, our expectations these days are unrealistic. Well, I think the head coach is telling you right there that he expects Will Levis to make mistakes. So how often then is he allowed to make those mistakes? That's the question we're asking, because when Brian Callahan says, I want you to experiment, at what point do we need to see results from those experiments?
Yeah, and sorry,
I think is the question we're asking.
The NFL is a different world now, and
100%.
it's what you can do now. So, yeah, sorry, there's not a lot of grace anymore.
It's not.
Not a quarterback, especially.
No, that's,
It is not.
It is what it is.
615-737-1045. More headlines coming up where the legacy of Nick Saban is living on in a very unique way for one prospect. And we've got details that for you next.
Have you ever had to deal with mold in your crawl space? Well, let me tell you something. It's expensive, and it gets worse and more expensive the longer you let it grow. Well, my friends at USS can help with big discounts right now to fix your mold problem. It's Ramon Fawson, United Structure System, is offering you $500 off crawl space mold treatment. And that's a great deal considering USS is the most trusted and experienced crawl space repair company in Middle Tennessee. Now they have a 3-step process to deal with mold in your crawl space. RTE. Remove the active growth, treat the area where it's growing, and encapsulate the crawl space to ensure that it doesn't come back. That's a great way to deal with mold, and considering they're offering you $500 off means it's more affordable than ever with USS. You can find them online at USSTN.com. Don't forget to tell them about the Ramon deal, which gets you $500 off, which makes it more affordable. Or if you want to call them, 615-488-7855.
Here we go.
Wrapping up hour number 3 on Ramon, Kayla, and Will, live from Greystone Golf Club at the Zone Spring Golf Classic, presented by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. Special thanks to Brentwood Hearing Center, Cool Ray, Master Staff Inc., making today possible. So Nick Saban's legacy, guys, is living on. It is very nice to see that this is continuing in the name, image, and likeness space. I don't know if you guys saw the newest NIL deal for 5-star quarterback Matt Zollers. He is a Missouri commit. He has inked an NIL deal with Westwood Home Services, a service home repair and handyman resource located in western Pennsylvania near his hometown. In exchange, he gets the keys to a Dodge Challenger.
Saw that.
Okay.
A Dodge Challenger. It is great to see that Nick Saban's car of choice to give to recruits is still being handed out.
You stupid, man. Yeah, the kid got a Dodge Challenger. I hope he understands how much horsepower that actually is. And please be safe in that. That's probably be the last thing on my mind. I'll be fine is what I'll be saying. But, yeah, the NIL deals have been inked now in high school. Florida, I think, is wide open now, too.
I mean, that's what's so wild to think about. Like, we talk about the college NIL deals and the car dealerships. We've seen a lot of them, obviously, in Knoxville, too, specifically.
Yes,
I think Hendon Hooker had one. Did Joe Milton have one, too?
Yes. I think so.
Yeah.
Yes.
But in high school, I'm just thinking about, we talked about our first cars on the show, I think, a few weeks ago, and just how horrid they were. But, like, these kids are getting, like you said, you got a Challenger. I mean, we've heard of some like high end, like, you know, Benzes out here. Like, it's incredible. They're at that age, and it's just, this is the world we're living in. But you know what? You got to just learn to be a grown up at that point, I guess. Be a little bit more mature than we were.
Essentially, what it is the ones that can do and the ones that can't. They just got to wait on it, Kayla.
I legitimately do not think I would have been allowed to have a car that nice, even if it was given to me in high school.
Really?
Like, legitimately. And that's not a dig at my parents. I think that's the right decision. Like, you have to be able, it's kind of like Will Levis in 7-on-7s. You have to be in a safe space to mess up a little bit when you're driving as a high schooler. And if you're driving as a high school senior to school in that car, people are going to ding that thing up while you're at school. Yeah. I would have been asking for other perks, other privileges. I literally don't think I would have been trusted with that much horsepower at 17 years of age.
Can I ask you that question then? Like, are you cool with like anything he would drive on the highway? Because like, that's a whole different beast. Like when you're letting your kids have the keys to a Dodge Challenger compared to I mean, is it important like what kind of car you put your kids in? I'm not a parent, so I don't know that.
Challenger in high school? Heck no.
Absolutely not.
Kayla, heck no.
No, sir.
No, like, and I was raised in the era of like no sports cars in general. I remember this kid had a 5.0. He got it his senior year. Not soon after that, he wrecked it. He was fine, but he wrecked. That's too much power. Or you find yourself in a situation where they do these street meets or just open parking lots. Yeah. Burnouts is going to happen. My mindset is we're going to get you a V6. It might have a turbo on it, okay? But we getting a V6, and it's going to be safe. But, Caleb, if somebody presented my kid with that under my house, that's a no, dog.
Yeah, I mean, congrats to the guy. Not to belittle him for getting paid. I mean, go get paid, young man. Well, Pennsylvania is one of 36 state athletic associations that allow athletes to participate in high school NIL deals. TSSAA, one of them as well. But I don't know.
See, I wish you was my daddy, Moan, because my mama had a rule, and it was put me in whatever a female softball coach would drive. She put me in it was like a Grand Cherokee, a Edge, anything built like a tank. Anything,
not a male softball coach, a female softball
anything
coach.
It looked like a fridge with wheels, that's what my mama was putting me in. It didn't matter how safe I was, how good of a parallel parker I was. My mama was always going to make sure if I got hit from any direction, I was going to make it out.
Her boo-boo was taken care of.
That's right, but I'm telling you, it didn't give me any street cred. That's for damn sure.
It did not, but I told you guys earlier, we hit the interstate for the first time yesterday with my 15-year-old. And it was a cool moment because I asked him, I was like, you want to drive us? He stood there for like 2-3 seconds. It's like, I got to learn sometime, don't I?
I love that answer.
I was
love
like,
that answer.
my boy, let's go.
Yep.
Pops was over there. Keisha called me. I was like, woman, get off my phone. The boy's on the highway.
I remember my sister telling me,
oh, goodness.
man, mailboxes look a heck of a lot closer to the road when you're driving with a 16-year-old.
For real.
I drove my sister's car once in high school, and I've never seen her so afraid.
I'm telling you.
When I was 16 at that point, on Wilson Pike in Brentwood, and anyone who's driven down that road knows what I'm talking about. Going 35 miles per hour with the stone walls right on each side of the road, and not any shoulder. And the speed limit is 35, and if you go the speed limit, then you're going to get run off the road because everyone on Wilson Pike goes at least 45, maybe 50. And it is not fun the first time you as a 16-year-old are going down that road to get home and somebody's just tailgating you trying to get around.
Ron called me, too. I was like, Savage, man, I love to talk. I can't. Not right now. Not right. No
multitasking right now.
You might talk to your lawyer about your will, but I don't know if you're talking to anybody else.
Straight up, and I was trying to be cool dad, too, and just trying, all right, I'm calm. Pick up my phone, text real quick.
Yeah, because if you're stressed, then he gets stressed.
Then he going to see it. Yeah. Oh.
Don't let him see you sweat.
Well, I'm glad it went well.
Was you mashing the hell out of that imaginary brake?
Oh, that's the best.
Dude,
they should have that for beginners.
I used to be driving with my mama.
For driver's ed.
Yeah, they do for
She'd reach over there, grab my leg, hit the brakes. I was like, I don't want nobody to touch my leg.
I was rolling my hands like Mr. Burns on The Simpsons. Smithers. I was just trying to be cool, man. Pray for me, y'all.
615-737-1045. Coming up, J.C. Latham was asked about the hardest part of the transition from college to pro tackle. We've got that for you coming up as we continue live from the Greystone Golf Club here at the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic. And Hour 4 on your Friday morning is coming up next.
This is your off-the-track racing report, brought to you by State Water Heaters.
Searching at Sonoma. For its next race, the NASCAR Cup Series is going to California, hitting the road course at Sonoma Raceway. Could we see the 10th different winner of the season on Sunday? We saw the 9th last week as Austin Cindric benefited from Christopher Bell's mechanical problems and Ryan Blaney running out of gas to win at Gateway. The notable drivers to have not yet won this season include Joey Logano, Ross Chastain, Bubba Wallace, Chris Buescher, and Kyle Busch. A victory secures automatic qualification into the chase. The Toyota Save Mart 350 is set for a 2:30 broadcast start on Fox. Meanwhile, Kyle Larson is back in the playoff picture after securing a waiver from NASCAR. In attempting to race the double on Memorial Day weekend, Larson did not start the Coca-Cola 600, which left him in violation for qualifying for the playoffs, despite already having 2 wins. NASCAR granted Larson the rules exemption this week.
This has been your off-the-track racing report, brought to you by State Water Heaters. I'm Liz Allison. If there's anything that I don't like, it's not having enough hot water. That was me way too often until I switched to a State brand tankless water heater. Not only do I never run out of hot water, but I'm saving on my utility bill every month. State Water Heaters makes gas and electric, standard efficiency to high efficiency water heaters, and of course, my personal favorite, tankless water heaters, where the hot water never runs out. Visit statewaterheaters.com and click on the Find a Local Installer link on the main page, and you'll be on your way to owning your very own State brand water heater, just like me.
9 o'clock. Good morning from the beautiful Greystone Golf Course for the Spring Golf Classic. They got some teams available. If you guys ain't got nothing to do, 1 o'clock, it is beautiful out here. We got plenty of drinks, plenty of food. Come play some golf with some people you love. Brought to you by Ferguson and State Water Heaters. News from around the league from OTAs. Colts quarterback Anthony Richardson was held out of the final day of Colts OTAs with shoulder soreness. Head coach Shane Steichen insisted it was a precautionary measure. In 2023, Richardson played in 4 games before being added to injured reserve with an injury to the same shoulder. Kansas City Chiefs ended their practice early yesterday when defensive end B.J. Thompson suffered a seizure going into cardiac arrest. We received an update late last night from Tom Pelissero via Thompson's agent. Quote, B.J. is still unconscious at this point, but he is stable and the vitals are looking good. Game 1 of the NBA Finals last night. Celtics win by 18 over the Mavs, 107-89. Efficient shooting night for the Celtics as every starter scoring in the double digits. Kristaps Porzingis, his first game back, scoring 20 and going 8 of 13 and shooting. For all your foundation repair and waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and the Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
From beautiful Greystone Golf Club in Dixon, it is the 4th and final hour of Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling, produced by Robert Walsh and Kirby Allen Kirby. Jackson Williams holding down the fort in our Midtown studios. You can join us live on 104.5 The Zone TV, Facebook Live, YouTube, Twitter, or Twitch. Special thanks to our food sponsors here at the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic, keeping us very well fed. The Whataburger Honey Butter Chicken Biscuit has never once let me down. Never once let me down. Ever. I am nourished this morning. I feel great.
Yeah.
What's it called again, the nickname?
So it is affectionately known as a Hub Chub.
Yes.
The Honey Butter Chicken Biscuit.
It's great. I love that nickname.
That's usually what I'm like at 7:20
Moan.
when Hubs joins.
Oh, my goodness.
All right, I've
We've
already
been
gotten
putting too
canceled
many
on this
words
show.
together today that have not worked out.
Just let me be the only one to get canceled. Thank you to Whataburger for providing a delicious breakfast for us, for our golfers, and the golf swings are always better when you are well fed in the mornings.
Absolutely.
Sometimes you're late to the range, you don't get to warm up, you got to choose between breakfast or warming up. Our golfers got to do both today.
They did get to do both. And there's a lot of hydration out here, too. A lot of liquids out here.
Correct.
You finally got some coffee. Kayla did, too.
I did. Got a refill.
Yes, you did. And I got a cup of juice with a lime. Just to feel like I was actually participating.
Looks like a cocktail, but it is a Ramon Mosa.
Ramon Mosa.
A Ramosa.
I think you need to franchise that.
That was cool. Well, yeah, man, if I open up a restaurant, we call it a Ramosa.
In the F&M Bank chat on YouTube, Zach writes in and says, Burt Daly at Greystone, SIGs and perfect swings.
Oh,
does not get much better than this.
I feel like if there is one person in life Robert Walsh would like to be compared to, it probably would be John Daly.
One of my heroes. He would be on the Burt Mount Rushmore. It would be
Mount Birchmore.
There you go. We're really taking liberties with putting this stuff together.
Scaring
it
me.
would probably be like Stone Cold, John Daly. Who else is a badass? Who's a fella eats all them hot dogs?
Joey Chestnut.
Joey Chestnut.
American hero.
Not Kobayashi?
USA. Come on, Ryan.
4th of July coming up. That's on me.
Yeah, come on.
What woman would you put up there?
I would put up there.
Cheyenne.
It would have to be Cheyenne.
Okay.
It would have actually
Not the golfer that has gone viral this week.
If she don't play no sports, I would have to put the what's the woman that smoked the cig? She's trying to quit vaping.
Oh, the one in London or England or whatever?
I was just about to say it's
Charlie.
the golfer that has gone viral this week.
She can be on my Mount Rushmore.
Charlie.
too.
Okay.
All right, affectionately. Good luck, Charlie.
Yeah.
You don't put Dolly
All right,
up there?
Mount Rushmore people you want to be like. Go.
There's
No hesitation. Don't think about it. Mount Rushmore people you want to be like. Go.
Dolly Parton, Whitney Houston, except for not dying that early.
I want to be.
All right.
What?
All right, segment's over.
Keep it rolling. That's all two. You're halfway there.
It's facts.
You're halfway there.
I mean, she's queen, man. I wish some
Anyone
Whitney
else?
on the way in here.
I never thought of that one.
Trying to think on the sports aspect. Jenny Finch.
Okay.
I got it. The owner of Boeing Jets.
Oh, God.
You always
okay.
go with the money route. It's unbelievable.
Why not? Why not?
Give me.
Somebody might be listening. Okay.
He's like Steve Jobs.
Give me Jim Nance, Vin Scully, Peyton Manning, and Chris Lofton. It's my Mount Rushmore people I want to be like.
Okay.
I honestly don't have that one. I really don't want to participate in that
You
one.
want to be yourself every day.
Yeah,
6 to 10. I'm 5 to 7.
There we go.
I know. It sounds
He's
crude.
taking a moment
It
to.
sounds real crude, doesn't it? Like, I should have
You ain't worth a
somebody.
darn.
I ain't a dang.
Hey, take that girl off and put Doc Ellis on. Y'all know about Doc Ellis?
No.
He threw a no-hitter on acid.
Yes, I did see that. Yes.
I'm
Him and
sorry?
Doc Strawberry
Not a
was
when was this?
yes. They did a documentary. They did a 30 for 30 on it.
Yeah,
Like
Doc.
70s?
Yes. I'm talking
Purely
about
for sport.
own
30
it.
for 30.
Kayla
Wow.
admitted it, knew he was on it. He just left a section of the city.
There is an incredible art done. He's telling the story, and someone illustrated his story. If you haven't seen it, just look it up.
Yeah.
Doc Ellis, LSD. It's so
Doc
good.
Ellis.
That's wild.
No, ESPN covered it, so
Doc
we can talk
Ellis.
about it publicly.
They're coming out with like 4 new 30 for 30s, by the way,
They
this
are.
summer. So I'm excited.
One of them
gotta
is
catch-
about FaZe, the gaming team,
Yes.
Oh,
which
really?
I'll be interested in.
Yep.
That's
FaZe Clan.
Juju's thing, I think.
Probably.
Yeah, he does do a lot with them face.
If it's corny things that 15-year-olds are interested
gotta
in, then Juju's probably into it.
we gotta cover gaming teams and stuff.
Yeah.
Really? Oh, my B. I
to
didn't know your
push over
coffee
my
was right
coffee
there.
over here.
I was trying to get rid of my cup.
Ramon, you're.
Unlike 3HL,
Did
we
you
do
do-
not. Unlike 3HL, we
I
do not
do my
soil
own
tablecloths here on this
I
radio
do my own
program.
work around here.
Oh.
We keep the tablecloths clean and tidy, the way that they were when we got here.
Yeah, so Kirby won't get on to us. By the
That's
way,
right.
speaking of tablecloths and posters and things and such,
Sure.
I heard Kirby gave our guy Slay some hell yesterday.
What happened?
Somebody that does a show in the mornings made the big board and they removed Ron Slay. If you guys look behind your shoulder, I made the poster for 104.5 The Zone.
We've got Ramon right there.
We
So,
in this thing.
from
what is
right
this
to left, we have
about?
Jeffrey Simmons,
Yeah.
Pecorine,
Yes.
Hani Mukhtar,
Talk about it.
and Ramon
The
Foster.
Ramon
That's
Foster.
crazy.
That's crazy.
But look over to your left. Slay's on the bigger one.
That's
so.
old. That's 2021.
That's last
Dude, that
year's
doesn't
model.
even
Just
look.
a little
Carl.
picture. The
That
little
doesn't even
picture
look
on the
like
little
Slay.
banner. Slay's got the massive banner over here to our left that
That's
has
wild.
Nashville SC's first ever starting 11, Pecorine, Derrick Henry, and Ron Slay.
Yeah, that's last year's
That's
model.
why we
Can't use it
moved
because
him over,
Henry's on
Kurt.
there.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying well, that was good for 21 to 23. All
At the
right?
zone, we are always moving forward.
Hide the posters, y'all. We got old people around.
Slay got
You better
the
watch
billboard.
it. Oh,
Slay got
man.
the billboard.
You
You got the
better
little sign that's in the
watch
men's
it.
bathrooms.
But you know what I got?
Right above the stall.
I almost
Yes.
cussed you out right there.
In the stall.
Antique car lot over here for sale.
People only know it's you, the sign of the men's bathroom, when they go to the Braille and they read it when they're blind, and it just says Ramon Foster.
Wow, he's my favorite.
I'm somebody's secret now.
You could say that's a very touching tribute.
Oh my
You
God.
get out of here. That was
615-737-1045. JC Latham talked to the media yesterday.
Yeah, let's move on.
Had a lot to say. He asked Brian Callahan a question in the head coach's press conference. And then he was asked about the hardest transition to make going from college football to pro football, and had this to say.
Kind of just like the speed and intensity of everything. In the beginning of the year, I was in California playing Michigan, and I'm so used to a college schedule, especially at Alabama. A lot, it was kind of the gridiron of everything. So here, like I said, guys don't want to. It's an investment, so you don't want to push guys through the ground and just get somebody hurt, but you also want to find that sweet spot for people to develop and but also stay healthy. So just trying to find that sweet spot as a professional now and not overloading myself, but also making sure that I'm staying on top of it and getting all the work in. That's probably been the toughest thing that I'm trying to instill in.
Ramon Foster, the toughest part of the transition from college to your first camp in the NFL was what?
Man, realizing I'm going to get my butt whooped. Like, that was it. You want to talk about the first few days of practice? That was it right there. It's like they're too savvy. They're too smart. Like you said, the investments have already been made in the dudes that's already on the team, played NFL seasons, and I got to make sure I impress them. I got to make sure I'm on top of it. If anything, I'm going to know how to play ball, and I'm going to know my stuff as far as not making any mental errors, because that's the other thing, too, is you don't want to let the vets down. Always slowing the drill down again. Look at this dumb rookie again. You know what I'm saying? So there's a lot of impressing that you have to do and staying in the good graces of the vets. Like, the coaches matter. Mm-hmm. The coaches matter. But if you can get in the good graces of the vets by showing that, look, I'm going to work hard, I know what the heck I'm doing, and at minimum, I'm going to compete. It's almost like going back to the old job or something, seeing the new guy there, right? It's like, man, what does the new guy got going on over here?
Right.
And wanting to see them do good and stuff. And that's essentially what it is the vets will pretty much sick you. Like, all right, go ahead, get him, rookie fella. Serve him up real quick. It's that type of stuff that goes on. So as it pertains to, again, that's why I've been throwing it out there, is watching the leadership of Lloyd Cushenberry. Challenging J.C. Latham to be like, hey, go at his neck, man. Screw it. Because the reality of it is, even with the new guys they've brought in, with Leroy Watson, right, with Sadiq Charles, they're all young. Nobody in that group is the old head in a sense.
Yep.
And you don't have to have that, right? But nobody's the old guy to say, young fella, he just pushed you last. Go kick his butt.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So that's the stuff that JC is going to have to get accustomed to. And from all understanding about him, he has been the leader. He's been vocal.
He has.
He's playing his part, is what I'm saying. I think they got, Daniel Brunskill as that old head type, but he's also fighting for a job himself.
Mm-hmm. Playing out of position.
Yeah.
Playing out of position. So that investment stuff that he's talking about and just being a pro, that's what that first camp is going to be, man. That's why you saw Chig last year enjoying it a little bit more, right? Because he understood what was in front of him. Those are the things that you kind of want to see. But I want to see somebody in that room throughout camp challenge the group. Who's going to be that dude? And I don't know yet.
And that's what's so unique about the situation is he is a rookie, but in a way, he is somebody who's expected to be a leader because he is going to be that left tackle, right? He's going to be on a younger line. You had mentioned Cush in the middle, who has the most experience that we've seen so far in terms of starting, but we don't know the right side yet. That's might be young in terms of starters. So it is a unique position for him to come in, kind of still be a rookie, do those rookie duties like he mentioned yesterday, that he serves his players, which I think was a really amazing and mature thing to say. But he's also having to be a leader too. And I'll tell you one thing, guys, he does not hold back on his personality. He comes out there and he is not afraid to be that guy. And I think that's pretty special.
Somebody's going to need to.
Yeah.
Coming up next, former NFL General Manager Randy Mueller will join us. Always love catching up with him. We'll talk some Titans, and we'll talk about that transition from when you're allowed to make mistakes and encouraged to make mistakes in the offseason, and then when the results need to change a little bit on the practice field, which has been a subject of discussion for us this morning. Former NFL GM Randy Mueller drops by next. Friday morning on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. RKW here live from the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic at lovely Greystone Golf Club. Full crew here, Ramon Foster, Kayla Anderson, Will Bowling. Pleased to be joined by former NFL GM. You hear him on the Football GM podcast from The Athletic, wherever you download podcasts. He is Randy Mueller. Randy, good morning. Happy Friday to you. How are you?
Good morning, guys. I'm doing great. It's good to be with you. It sounds like the golf course is the place to be.
Oh, my gosh.
It is, Randy.
Especially on a Friday. They do not want us to be productive at all today, Randy.
I hear you. I've been there. I understand it and concur.
Absolutely. Randy, with minicamp wrapping up here in Nashville, starting locally with the Titans and lots to talk about with this team this offseason. From the broad perspective, what have you made of the job Rand Carthon has done in rebuilding and reloading on offense and defense this offseason here in Tennessee?
I'll be honest. He's made me a believer. I think some of the things they've done, I credit him for change. And I think that's the one thing in the NFL nowadays is change is apparent. And he's embraced it. He's done what he thinks he can do for this time around. These jobs are interesting because every year we have about 35% roster turnover. And I think Rand has done a good job of managing that, of still trying to upgrade in certain positions. Hey, it may not be the team that he wants for the next 5 years, but I think it's an improved team over last year for sure.
Former NFL GM Randy Mueller with us. And Randy, looking at Will Levis specifically, everything, obviously, when you have a young quarterback, has been about making him better. How confident are you in his ability to take a step forward this season?
Well, I think they've done what they can to do, like you said, build it up around him. I'm a believer that I think the quarterback elevates others' play first and not the other way around. But having said that, it surely helps to upgrade with, people like Ridley, people like Boyd, a couple new offensive linemen. That definitely helps. I think in Will's case, I've seen a quarterback to this point anyway, the speed of the game is still really fast for him. So he's got to find a way in his mind to slow things down, to be able to process information, and then execute under the gun on third downs, in the red zone, and things like that. So I think they're going to be in Nashville dependent on his progress. I've seen some flashes of it, but to be honest with you, I saw flashes in his college career too. It just hasn't been consistent enough, and I think that's the big thing that Titan fans are going to be looking for is consistency at that spot, because I think they're only going to go as far as he learns to progress at playing NFL quarterback.
Randy Mueller, GM podcast of The Athletic. Check it out. Also former GM in the NFL. Randy, we were just talking about specifically timing for Will Levis early on with them, having mandatory minicamp this week. But how much grace do you give him when you have to start seeing, some progress here? What would you say in terms of, would it be training camp in the second week? Would it be after 2 preseason games? What would you look for a quarterback to really have some things down?
Well, I think in his case, you can get all the reps in minicamp. You can get all the reps in OTA. You can get snaps in preseason. But for him, having played a little bit last year, I don't think we're going to know until a third of the NFL season is behind us, because the speed of the game changes. And like I was mentioning earlier, as soon as the regular season starts, things get ratcheted up, and that's when the information flow in and out of his head is going to be accelerated. So I think you're going to be a third into it before you should even judge him. I think the people inside the Titans building have a better feel for Will than those of us on the outside. We see flashes, but they see him every day. But I think in this case, we need to see progress on NFL Sundays, and that should be the measuring stick. I wouldn't put too much into mini camps. I wouldn't put a ton into preseason. I think it's going to take real bullets under real game action before we can kind of see where he's at.
We are seeing a difference early on in terms of maybe how this staff does things. And again, Mike Vrabel did things a certain way. We don't want to compare and contrast. Like, this is a new era of Titans football. But what has been mentioned a lot from players is, just some of the development early, some of the attention to detail early. It looks like Brian Callahan is kind of allowing his assistants who have a lot of experience developing guys to do their thing. How much do you see like the trust factor in this staff and how that maybe can benefit them long term?
Well, I definitely think it's a plus. I think you're coaching different type players, different mentalities, and I think change is good with regard to how you teach them. So I think that's probably welcomed by the players. I know this, Brian Callahan's grown up in a household where he knows how important assistant coaches can be, and that obviously is clear because of his dad. That's been his whole life. So I think that's good. I think the attention to detail starts at the top, and because he's a coach's son and has been around it every day of his life, basically, nobody understands details more than that. So I think those are all pluses. At some point, we're going to see, in his case, how he can lead, and that sometimes doesn't come until you get slapped around a little bit, and I think he'll bounce back from that. So I think all of these early signs are positives for the way they're teaching, for the way they're installing their schemes on both sides of the ball. Now, Will Levis is the one guy who's learning now a second system, and that may set him back initially just because he's got a different offense to run. He's not only learning a new system, that takes away from really advancing your trade. So that's why I think we've got to give him a little grace period, at least through this first part of the season.
Randy Mueller, former NFL GM, and also host of Football GM podcast from The Athletic, is with us this morning. Randy, as it pertains to the grace given to the quarterback and how you judge him throughout the course of the season, with him being matched with a new head coach, as a GM that set all of this up, how much grace do you give yourself in those moments as far as your expectations? Because you have to handle the crowd, meaning the fans. You have to handle just all investors of the program, too. How do you handle that yourself, knowing that what you put together has to also still produce?
Yeah, I think it's a good question. I think we all have to have thick skin, right? I mean, it's going to come with some growing pains, without a doubt. I think what Rand knows that we all on the outside don't know is that the system that Brian Callahan will put in place has a certain amount of answers to give to a quarterback. It takes time for him to get those answers at an advanced level. So he knows it. He's going to have to tune a deaf ear to any criticism, at least through the first half of this season, just to see where he progresses. This is a new offensive scheme. They don't happen overnight, I'm telling you. When you make changes, and especially on offense with a young quarterback, when you make changes, it just takes time. And I know fans don't want to hear that, but that's part of it. You've got to develop your trade, and a lot of times you don't get to quarterbacking 202, 303, 404, if you understand what I'm saying, that the high level of it until the years 2 or 3. So that's just part of making these kind of changes at the top when the system has to fluctuate.
Former NFL GM Randy Mueller with us this morning. Randy, as you mentioned something earlier, and we somewhat had this conversation yesterday, as far as where this offensive line is, I like to talk about them because when your bigs are set, the team pretty much grows from there, right? With that being said, I mean, we don't know if J.C. Latham's going to stay at left. Heck, he can move to right. But this year in particular, with them wanting to compete with the people that they've signed, and they spent a pretty penny in free agency, how do you view a coach in Brian Callahan being capable of, I'll say, hiding the right tackle position as far as protection? Because that's been one of the biggest issues, has been protection of the quarterback. And if there's only, I think, one position to hide, it may be the right tackle. How do you somewhat set a team up to deliver on that?
It's a good thought. I think in theory, we think we might be able to hide some of that, but in the end, you're probably only as good as your weakest link. So I think if you have to run a system with that in mind, and in other words, a weak link or two, and I'll just take your genesis of how it's happened. If you have to hide that, you're limiting what you can do offensively, which in turn limits what the defense has to do as well. So you've got to be careful. You've got to keep the quarterback upright. I get it. And I'm not sure, as you mentioned, if J.C. Latham is a left tackle or not. I do think this. The center, Lloyd Cushenberry, is a giant get for the Titans because he is a self-made player who communicates, who really is advanced. This guy came in the league with Denver, and he really struggled his first 2 years because of the baptism under fire. And now he has that under his belt. And I think he'll be Bill Callahan's ears and eyes on the field. So I think that's a giant. upgrade for them, just from a power, a strength, and a guy that can communicate with everybody up there. So it'll be dependent on how, I think, how Lloyd can keep that group together. But it'll be a team effort. You're going to have to fight through, again, some you want to get your 5 best players out there, and they may not start the season in the best position for them, but it gets the best 5 out there, and then that unit has to grow together.
We're such a microwave society that if you're picked in like the top 10 or first round, you're expected to have immediate results. And I know I've always wanted to be in those front office meetings with you guys just to hear the conversation. Okay, this guy's probably going to be bad in year 1 and maybe not much better in year 2. How do you guys, just really put yourselves in the corner and say, all right, we just got to grow as a franchise also with those first round draft picks or with the Will Levis type? What are those conversations like?
Well, they're real. They happen. I think a lot of times you're at the discretion of the depth of a particular draft. If you're talking about the first round, sometimes a top 10 pick in some years isn't a top 10 pick in another year, and that spawns the conversation of, do we fill a need because we really have to, or do we take a player at another position that is ready to go as an NFL player right now? That's really the crux of all those type conversations, and it happens in free agency as well. The quarterback development is always a discussion internally, and that's one that I think happens every day. It may not be shared with everybody, but I guarantee you the head coach, the GM, they talk about that all the time if they have the kind of relationship that you'd hope they have. So those are all real questions. I don't know that there's a boilerplate answer for everybody, because every team is a little different. And now you throw in a whole new offensive system as well. But fun discussions. You got to get the guys on the field that have the talent, and then you've got to develop them and grow them as a staff.
Randy Mueller is our guest, former NFL GM, one of the hosts of the Football GM podcast, available wherever you download podcasts, courtesy of The Athletic. Talking about those conversations, Randy, as it pertains to a quarterback that wasn't a first-round pick in Will Levis, the absence of the fifth-year option, how much does that change the timeline of needing to see development or needing to see improvement, or does it even affect the timeline at all, considering you could have the franchise tag at the end of that 4 years if you needed it for the second-round pick QB?
Yeah, I don't think it really affects it in this case. Now, sometimes it may if a player really reaches his potential quickly. But I think in this case, Will Levis will either determine he can play in the NFL or not, and then his market value will either determine after the fact what it is or not. So I think in this case, I wouldn't even enter into the contract discussion with him. They're under a first-year or a first-time contract, which helps the rest of the team build, but it'll be up to him. I just think we're so young in his development. Have we seen some? Yeah, but I think we have a long ways to go to really find out if he's the guy or not. And I think that's the biggest question they have to decide this year is this the guy we bank on or not? And then we'll worry about the contract later.
Randy Mueller joining us now of The Athletic, former GM, NFL GM at that. So you wrote back in mid-May about teams still looking to make veteran upgrades. Well, one position that the Titans still might benefit from the free agency pool right now is at safety. Who do you feel like would be a good fit? Because there's still some veteran guys out there right now.
Well, I thought all along that Justin Simmons would be a really good fit no matter where he ended up. I know Philly had a lot of interest early on. They couldn't come together with numbers. I thought he was one of the better UFAs, and I know he was a cap casualty in Denver, and that's really what set him free. But I think someone's going to get a really good player there. It's a matter of for what, and how much you have to pay to do it. So I think he would upgrade for sure. I think the safety position is unique in that some teams have decided they can pay him, and some teams have decided they can't. We've kind of passed through that part of making a deal now to where players have to find homes. And so it's a pretty good buyer's market right now at the safety position if you have a need.
Do you think that they're just waiting because they can, right? I mean, they don't necessarily have to really sign a deal till camp and not have to go through all this extra stuff?
Well, I think you're right. I think timing is an issue. I think deadlines are an issue, and sometimes they spur action. But yes, there's not a lot that can be gained from now on. I do think at some point over the next few weeks, players, veterans in particular, want to know where they're going to be. They want to get set up. They got to start to learn the new system. But yeah, I think at this point they're not going to miss a ton more. Most teams now are in mandatory mini camps, and then they're going to disperse for the next 6 weeks, and that's kind of where we're at.
Randy, there's been reports that the NFL and NFLPA is somewhat want to propose a new offseason schedule with no OTAs, basically no minicamp, and you just start up everything in either late June, July is what we're saying. How do you see that could be beneficial or actually detrimental to guys in the NFL system?
Well, this is the way we used to do it 25 years ago. We didn't have all the off-season stuff that they do have now. Having said that, the league is totally different. I mentioned the amount of change that happens from roster to roster. It's getting more so every year. There's more ways to build your team. There's more ways to turn over the back end of your roster now than ever before. And to that end, you've got to spend time with these guys. So I don't like where this thing's going. I think in the back of my mind, the 18th game has crossed the bridge of it's going to happen. It's a matter of if, not when. And to combat that, I think the league, and I don't know this is just from being in the league 30 years, now I think they said, hey, the Players Association, you sort out your off season, you guys figure out how you want to do your OTAs, your mini camps, and we'll do that. And this is the bullet point to, hey, we're going to add an 18th game. So I just think the amount of change, the quality of play, it will suffer. Skill sets developing, they will all suffer if we eliminate our off season. It's just a different game now, and you have to develop players more so than ever before.
Randy Mueller, excellent on the Football GM podcast from The Athletic, wherever you download podcasts, here with us on Ramon, Kayla, and Will. We always learn something every time we catch up with you, Randy. Thanks so much.
Thanks, guys. Good to be with you.
You too, Randy.
There he is, Randy Mueller this morning with, I think, some great thoughts on Will Levis, and particularly about the timeline of the fifth-year option and lack thereof. He says doesn't really make a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah. I heard, and I mean, the best thing for this team is to keep him for their fourth year. And if he's just okay, say that's your contract year. And then, of course, you can still help build up a team is what you do in those moments. Fascinating approach to it, man. It was a really good conversation with him.
Yeah, he's great.
It's always good because he's like more old school, but he understands new school because he's so involved still in the NFL and everything that's going around. So, yeah, always love to hear. And you can go and listen to that on the podcast if you missed the whole interview.
Yes, and I did hear about that old schedule before, too. That is still fairly new, OTAs, minicamp, and off-season. That's fascinating. How would y'all feel about it?
About
pushing everything back as far as us with this?
I mean, I didn't play, obviously.
No, I'm talking about
just the coverage aspect of it.
If I'm being selfish, I'm all for it.
Okay.
I am all for it.
Gotcha.
I'd miss a little bit of the early stuff. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
No, because I just feel like the gap of June is just, we're about to go into it. I mean, we've got one more OTA to cover as media next week, and then from there, we are into the dark ages until late July.
Olympics, baby.
Yep.
I know. Well, that's in August, so we got even more time till that.
What did I think it was?
7 weeks away from Olympics.
A true June.
7 weeks today, I believe. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, there we go. I thought it was July, my brother.
Don't you doubt me on my Olympics.
No, I will not. Hey,
there's not much that I know about. That's one of the things.
Stick in my lane.
Coming up.
Fast one.
There is a big mistake that ESPN made last night in their coverage of something that maybe you were watching, maybe you weren't, and it would have been easy to miss. We'll talk about that next.
Thank you, Bert. It's Ramon Foster here for Hiller Plumbing, Healing, Cooling, and Electrical. I want to ask you guys something. Have you ever been sitting at your home and just thinking to yourself, I'm waiting for my tech to be here. They told me they'll be here at this time, and they're not here. Well, you don't have to worry about that with Hiller, okay? Because when you set an appointment with them, they're very prompt about the time they send you, and they know you don't want to waste your time waiting on them. So they are the best. So if you need something done around your house, please reach out to the folks that I trust, man. But also this month, you can be a happy camper with Hiller with zero interest financing for 24 months on select HVAC systems, generators, and tankless water heaters, or just simply take advantage of Hiller's $99 drain cleaning special. This is the time of year to take care of your home systems before the summer temperatures hit, and y'all know they'll have your house working in overdrive. Simply visit happyhiller.com today for details.
Wrapping up the show, Ramon, Kayla, and Will, RKW 104.5 The Zone. We have preseason start times, boys and girls.
All right.
2024 NFL preseason dates and times finalized throughout the Shield. August 10th, Titans 49ers, 6 p.m. Central.
Okay.
August 17th, Titans Seahawks.
Yeah, go Seahawks. Just joking.
6 p.m. Central. August 25th, Titans in New Orleans, 1 p.m. Central.
All right.
There you
So I
go.
can do a little partying after.
New Orleans, 1 p.m. Central.
1 p.m. Central in
not bad.
New Orleans.
New Orleans.
So there's that. That's new information. we
It's
have for you.
every week. It's like a time or there's just something every
That's right.
every week.
Right. If we can be honest, yeah, we got to get your fade music better, man. I'm telling you, just abruptly cut that off. Oh, is that Kings of Leon right there?
That's not a bad guess, but no.
Your fade wasn't Kings of Leon right there.
It
It
sounded
sounds
like
just like
Kings
the
of Leon.
lead singer right
I thought
there.
it was.
Either way,
Jackson, tell us.
I'm
if
here
that
to
was.
criticize Jackson
Jackson,
right
who
now
was
because I
that?
got my boo thing producing in house with us. Okay, get you a Bert. You don't know who that was? Never mind. That was your moment. We don't want to hear it anymore.
Okay. That question from Ramon lasted as long as the NBA Finals halftime show last night. Did you guys see this?
I missed that.
I heard a lot of talk about it.
Celtics and Mavericks. The total talk time. This is the total time there was basketball discussion happening at halftime of Celtics and Mavericks. Do we have any guesses? Have you guys seen this?
I've heard about it, but I'm gonna get. I didn't see it, so I'll guess still.
5 minutes.
I'll say 2.
1 minute and 20 seconds.
Why?
Is
Yep.
how long the in-house studio crew talked about basketball on the NBA Finals halftime coverage last night of Celtics Mavs.
Oh my!
1 minute and 20 seconds, and they had 5 people on the desk.
People were complaining.
I was doing stuff around the house at that time. I did not. I was like, I don't hear Stephen A. So is that why? That's why I didn't.
Because
hear
he probably said one sentence. All of them, like JJ Redick did a 20-second segment. Josh Hart said one sentence. Stephen A. said one thing. Wilbon talked about Porzingis coming back, playing his first game in a month, and then that was literally, they went to break, they came back, they did one 20-second segment, they went to break, they came back, third quarter.
Oh,
here's
man.
Doris Burke.
I did not realize. By the way, Doris Burke made history last night also.
Yeah.
First woman to call
Congrats,
a
Doris.
men's major sport championship in the United States on network television.
I swear to you, I was like, why don't I hear Stephen A right now? I think I was cleaning up around the house at halftime. I was just like, all right, why don't I hear him? That explains why.
1 minute and 20 seconds.
That's wild to
That
me.
is.
What's the point of a halftime show?
Yeah, if they're going to do all this
Make
social
money.
stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That is it.
Clearly.
I guess so. Good start to the finals last night, though, too. I will say that. Solid.
Good start for the Celtics.
Great.
Luka Doncic at one point looked like he was going to maybe bring the Mavs all the way back, but Celtics hold him off. Porzingis was wild.
He was. They cut it down to 8 in the third quarter.
Heating up, on fire.
Yeah, yes, he was.
Last night.
You know you feeling it when you shoot the ball and throw your hands down? That's what he was doing last night. I was just like, yeah, he's in his zone.
But they don't play till Sunday game too? Is that correct?
Money got to be made. They
Man,
don't catch
dude.
all his prime time.
It's
Right.
wild. Like there's some time in between.
They just didn't want to
here.
compete with the NCAA baseball
Yeah,
tournament.
I guess so,
That's-
By
right?
the way, congratulations, Oklahoma. First
Yeah.
time, three-time winner. Yeah, softball winner last night.
Three-peat.
Beat Texas. Three-peat.
I mean, you talk
Number
about
2 seed.
dominating programs in softball. You can list. There's about 5 of them, maybe 3.
The top 3 seeds in the NCAA softball tournament this year, all SEC teams next year.
I was just going to say, welcome to the SEC.
Tennessee,
official.
Oklahoma, and Texas.
That's gonna be huge for them.
In opposite order.
Texas, yeah, 100%. Welcome to the SEC, Oklahoma,
That's right.
Texas fans. Love that for
Any
you
plans
guys.
this weekend? What are the people up to? We enjoying CMA Fest downtown?
I just wanted to say happy birthday to my mom today
get
because
there.
she is a queen. She is an amazing woman, and anytime I can give her a shout out, happy birthday, Ma. So that's that.
Yeah, happy birthday, Mom. That's huge right there,
Yeah.
Kayla. I reposted that for you, too. Not that it
Thanks,
didn't matter
Mom.
what I did, but happy birthday to your mother. Enjoy her. Weekend. Baseball.
Baseball for you.
And you're not going to watch it. You're watching it, but your kids' baseball, not Tennessee.
I got one today. I got a brisk up out of here. I got one tomorrow at 5 and Sunday also. So baseball.
Do you bring like the iPad to watch Tennessee balls, or
my phone? I probably should. I don't want to have too much stuff on me at the game.
Yeah.
The sun and shine.
iPads can overheat more easily than phones too.
That too. Yep, 100%.
you're going?
I will be in attendance tomorrow
Look at
for
that.
Tennessee Evansville Super Regional Game 2.
Let's go.
11 a.m. Eastern. I will be on the road very early.
Will you be leaning over the stands yelling at somebody? Can we
Yes.
get
Probably not.
that picture?
Because it's all Vols. I feel like that the whole stadium's going to be Vols.
Well, Evansville, the away fans, though, get an allotted amount of tickets. So there will be the same amount of Evansville fans there. And for them, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see a super regional for their team. So
True.
It is. By the way, ticket prices have fallen just a little bit. If y'all want to get in, you better get in now. Tomorrow's going to be
still
beautiful.
Crazy, but not terrible.
I didn't say they weren't crazy. I just said they fell just a little bit.
It's the one place to watch a super regional in Tennessee this weekend.
Absolutely. Just wish ECU was there. Bert didn't hear me.
He ain't got his headphones.
I was just going to try to rip on him, but, you know.
That is the show, the Buck Rising Show, coming up next. A reminder again, we've still got tee times for 1 p.m. in the afternoon flight of the 104.5 The Zone Spring Golf Classic. The weather is amazing. You're going to get free cocktails. You're going to get meals. Special thanks to all of our sponsors making this event happen. Buck's got you covered. Next, and Ramon's got some words of wisdom for you to start your weekend.
Hey, y'all must remember at all times, your Twitter fingers and your mic is always hot.